go for the champions in their pursuit of new centre-halves. Ozan Kabak has been having his medical in Germany today, and it looks likely to be next through the door at Anfield.
Yes, we'll keep you across all things Liverpool, of course, and we're going to be joined by Dirk Kuyt to get his view on what's been going on at his old club. Also, Arsenal are trying to place some of their younger squad members on loan. Darmesh and Carve, there they are. They'll help keep you across more of this evening's deals in the making. It's a midnight deadline in Scotland, and runaway leaders Rangers are busy getting their last bit of business in the bag.
Right, let's kick off then with this breaking news that comes from Liverpool, confirming a new signing in the last minute or so. We knew they were looking to bring in two defenders, Vinny O'Connor. They've got one in. Ben Davies has already been announced by the Premier League champions, I believe.
That's right, confirmed by Liverpool Football Club, paying £500,000 up front and £1.1 million in possible add-ons on top of that as well. Not surprisingly, the 25-year-old centre-half is absolutely delighted with the opportunity he's been handed here. He's quoted on Liverpool's website as saying it is a huge opportunity. Obviously, it came as a bit of a surprise when it first came, but once you start to get your head around it, the opportunity that is in front of me is incredible. I'd be silly to not make the most of it and learn off the players. I've never actually been to Anfield and I haven't had a look around yet. I had a quick look out and a look at the pitch and it looks like carpet, which obviously you'd expect. I haven't actually walked out of the tunnel yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Just to be in this kind of atmosphere is brilliant. Now, he will take the number 28 shirt at Liverpool, and those add-ons we were talking about as well, just some of the add-ons were potentially as regards appearances, success with the club, also the possibility of international appearances as well. But first of all, he says, I want to come in and play games to start with. I want to get my foot in the door and make myself a Premier League player rather than obviously a Championship player and then take it from there. I know we've got some top players here and players I can certainly learn from. Once you get your foot in the door, then you're here as well. Hopefully I can take my chance and then move forward with it. What we await now is one departure from Liverpool. Obviously, Sepp van den Berg has been at Preston today to undergo his medical before sorting out personal terms. We expect that that announcement as regards his loan until the end of the season is not too far away. Also, of course, we know Liverpool trying to bring in another centre-half. And Ozan Kabak, Sky Germany, reporting that a deal agreed in principle. Liverpool not confirming that just yet, but we do have the detail of that proposed deal, which is initially a loan. Liverpool paying a £1 million fee with a possibility of £500,000 in add-ons. Slight discrepancy over the fee there as to what's being reported in Germany. They're reporting something slightly higher. But within that deal is an option to buy in the summer. The option figure is £18 million up front, with a potential for it to rise to £26.5 million with add-ons, again, appearances and success related. This is a player recommended to Jurgen Klopp by David Wagner over the past 12 months. Also pushed by Christian Heidel, who was sporting director at Schalke. Also worked with Jurgen Klopp, of course, at Mainz. He's back as sporting director at Mainz as well. So, as I say, at the moment we await the announcement as regards Ozan Kabak and that deal being completed. But it looks like Liverpool getting in two centre-halves on deadline day after confirming that Ben Davies is indeed a Liverpool player.
Good stuff, Vinny. Thanks very much.
Now let's get the latest on Ainsley Maitland-Niles, shall we? Because lots of Premier League clubs interested in his services. As we understand it, he's on his way to West Brom to complete a deadline day loan move to the Hawthorns. Let's cross now to Rob Dorset, who has the latest on that. Good evening to you, Rob. What can you tell us?
Well, Jess, it's a bit of a coup for West Bromwich Albion, this one, if they get it over the line. At the start of today, you have to be honest that West Bromwich Albion were probably looking in fourth place out of four clubs in the chase for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Southampton, Leicester and Newcastle were all reportedly interested in him. In fact, we knew they were interested in him to varying degrees. But for various reasons, it's West Bromwich Albion who've come out on top. They've agreed a loan deal for Ainsley Maitland-Niles with Arsenal. We brought that news to you exclusively at about 3 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles is currently on his way up to West Bromwich Albion to complete the deal. I understand he has completed his medical now down in London, and West Brom just need him to sign that paperwork. There was a scare about half an hour ago where I told you, and West Brom fans had minor heart attacks across the country, that there was another club that were trying to make a last-ditch effort to sign him and hijack the deal. That's still the case, but as every minute passes, it's looking more unlikely that any other club will be able to get that deal done. They couldn't get a medical done, couldn't get the paperwork done, and crucially, it's West Bromwich Albion who have the agreement with Arsenal. Could be a good day for them, because we told you earlier as well that they completed a loan deal for Celta Vigo midfielder Okay Yokuşlu. Here's what Sam Allardyce had to say about that earlier on today.
I don't want to put too much pressure on him. Hopefully he won't hear this, but in the past, my Milivojevic at Crystal Palace made a massive difference in that position, sitting midfield, protecting the back four, which is massive for us because we concede too many goals, but also his passing ability, short and long range has been what we've been looking at, and obviously, would he come to us? Would he leave Spain and come for the fight? It appears that he will. I think that just shows how hard the pandemic has hit everybody, because if he's willing to, as Mbaye, willing to come to the Premier League and fight with us, it shows you that we have probably been a little fortunate in this window to take advantage of it and actually get players of their calibre to actually come and join us.
So you can see there just how highly Sam Allardyce thinks of Yokuşlu. We expect him to fly into the country in the next couple of days. He will be first available for West Brom, we expect, against Spurs on Sunday. But the one they want to get over the line with that one done is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Just to repeat, he's on his way up to West Bromwich Albion as I speak to you right now. We expect him to sign that deal despite late interest from another Premier League club. Albion, though, won't be comfortable until that signature is on that contract.
Thank you very much, Rob. Good to hear from you. Good to get an update. Now, there's always a name, isn't there, that comes up a lot during transfer deadline day, and that was Dele Alli. Now, he looks like he's going to be staying at Tottenham, but could they see another player leave? I wonder. Let's chat now to Michael Dawson, who's trying to join us live now on transfer deadline day here on Sky Sports News. Really good to speak to you. There you are, Michael. Good evening to you. What have you made of transfer deadline day so far, then?
Good evening. It's been pretty quiet. It's not the usual deadline day. You know, it's normally crazy. Players, lastminute.com. Football clubs have had all month to get it sorted, and they leave it down to the last few minutes. So it's been a lot quieter than normal. The pandemic has caused that kind of problems, and it's hard for football clubs to get deals done.
Dele Alli. Michael, as I mentioned before then, you know, Dele Alli, his name has been in and out of the headlines throughout this month, throughout this transfer window. Do you think there's anything he can do now to force his way back into Jose Mourinho's plans?
Look, I think it's really for Dele. It's really disappointing for him. 2 years ago, he was an unbelievable player for them. And now to be having the situation where it's not happening, he's not in the squads. He's got an injury at this moment in time, I get that. But look, the form Spurs are in, Harry Kane being out the team, I'm sure he can hopefully fight his way back into that squad and cause Jose Mourinho a problem, because he's wasted. It's a wasted talent for him, for Spurs, and the problem needs to be resolved. However it may be, there was talk of him going out to PSG. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. So he's wasted. If he's in that Tottenham dressing room, they need to get him back in the football team for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of Spurs fans agree with you there, Michael. Now, we understand Spurs were open to bringing one of your former teammates back, Christian Eriksen, on loan as a replacement for Dele Alli, although, you know, that's looking increasingly unlikely as it's 2 hours, 50 minutes until the deadline closes. But would you like to see him back at the club?
Look, Christian was an absolutely fantastic player for Spurs, and really, really disappointing to see him leave the football club. But look, things haven't gone right for him. Can I see him coming back to Spurs? Probably not. look, the figures that have been quoted when he left, is Daniel Levy going to be happy to bring him back and have to spend that? Because he chose to leave the football club. He was amazing under Pochettino. There's no hiding that, and the creativity up the field with Christian. He's Christian Eriksen. What a talent! And of course, from my point of view, it would be great to see. But from the owner and chairman, I can't see that deal happening, especially with this amount of time left.
Now, another player that I'm sure Spurs fans will call one of their greats of the club, Gareth Bale's come back, and it was a big deal when he returned in the summer, wasn't it? But he's only gone on to make 6 Premier League appearances so far. So what do you think we're not seeing? What's happened to Bale? Why is he not getting that playing time, Michael?
I'm so disappointed. Look, I watched the game last night. Gareth, he gets an opportunity, and I thought, will he play straight through the middle? He played out wide, and unfortunately, he hasn't had enough minutes. But it's down to himself to make that opportunity, make it work, make him play with real quality. And we didn't see it last night. He's not played a lot of football in the last 18 months. Since he came, he had a knee injury, so it's been really, really tough for him. And he just didn't hit the ground running. And his game time's been limited. It's been limited to cup competitions. It's a Premier League that we really want to see. But let's not kid ourselves. The quality this guy has, what he's achieved at Real Madrid, his first stint at Spurs was just electric. He was unplayable, and we're yet to see it in the Spurs in his second spell, unfortunately.
OK, let's turn our attentions to Liverpool then, shall we? They said throughout the window, we're not going to sign a defender. And now it looks as though 2 could possibly come in tonight. Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies, who's already just been announced by Liverpool. Why do you think it was those players in particular that they targeted?
Well, I think it was clear they needed to bring a centre-half in. That's been clear since Joe Gomez, Van Dijk got injured. There's no hiding it. They dealt with the 2 injuries and Matip as well really well to start with. They got the results and you're thinking, wow, can they deal with this? But when you go in long periods without centre-halves, Jordan Henderson done incredible, Fabinho done incredible. But look, you miss them kind of players in midfield, and for them to play centre-half for 30, 35 games, it's a real ask. So look, they had to bring a centre-half in. Matip's out now. Davies, look, he's played in the Championship for many years, had all his career at Preston. And this move for him is an absolute dream. Absolute dream. The size of Liverpool, going from the Championship, it's going to be a massive step up. Look, the game against Brighton on Wednesday, and then they go to Man City the weekend, Liverpool. So he'll be excited. He'll probably go into training tomorrow. He'll have them butterflies in his stomach, but the excitement to walk in with world-class players. And he's only going to improve. He's going to have a lot more pressure on his shoulder. And it's probably hard that he's not got Van Dijk to the side of him to guide him through. Because, look, when you leave the Championship and go to the Premier League, you're hoping that you get a little bit of help from a senior player. 16 years ago, when I left the Nottingham Forest to go to Spurs, he had Ledley King beside me, and he helped me. He guided me through my early Premier League days, and that's what you need. It's going to be hard for Ben. 2 new signings going in, and they're going to have to hit the ground running because they've got no one else, and they're going to play.
You're a centre-back, Michael. I'm surprised they didn't give you a call.
No, look, they'll have been looking around for sure for players that can see, because you can't just go out and spend 50, 60, 70 million on a centre-half when you've got players going to come back eventually. So, look, it's a stopgap for the time being. And these players, look, they might have found a gem in Ben Davies. We don't know. He's getting opportunities. He's got that opportunities. Now he's going to have to take it. And he'll be under the spotlight, because this transfer for the last 24 hours is just, it's the biggest transfer deal for sure. And everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah, very exciting, isn't it? Now, just finally, Michael, there's obviously a new teammate joining you at Nottingham Forest. Glenn Murray has arrived from Brighton. What do you make of that?
Yeah, another experienced player. Glenn has been around for many years. Look, he's come on loan to try and help us. Whatever you do in the January, you tend to sign players when you're maybe not at form or whatever. But look, Glenn's an experience. He'll come and he's going to help the dressing room with all that he can. He's worked with a manager before at Brighton, so yeah, hopefully he can get plenty of goals for us.
Michael, brilliant to have you on Transfer Deadline Day, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Well, you heard Michael there say it's a dream for Ben Davies to swap the Championship for the champions. Liverpool have confirmed they've brought him in, a new defender. This is transfer deadline day. You're in the right place for all the moves as they happen.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We are all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Hello there, welcome back to Transfer Deadline Day. Now, don't stay up late. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's message to Manchester United fans who might expect a deadline day signing. United's manager is happy with the business they've done so far this window.
I can confirm there won't come anyone in, so don't stay up late. We've made decisions that we feel have been good for individuals and for us as well. So with the young players moving on with Garner, Chong, Mengi, Pellistri getting the chance to play more football has been important for us. And our group is a tight-knit group. We don't have too many players in excess, and hopefully Jesse can get going and play at West Ham as well.
So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says the Manchester United fans can go to bed early. What about the Crystal Palace fans? Michael Bridge, as always, is the man in the know for us regarding Palace, and he joins us here this evening. Michael, hello to you. What can you tell us about Crystal Palace then tonight?
Do you know what, Jules? 2 years ago, you asked me nearly the very same question, and then Michy Batshuayi signed on loan in the snow from Chelsea. But this year, I think Palace fans, you can go to bed. Has there been anything today? Well, Chinzi Guaita has signed a contract extension. They love him there. Crystal Palace goalkeeper. Roy Hodgson revealed to me earlier in the press conference that he'd actually signed the new deal a few days ago and thanked Dougie Freeman. And I understand around 11 players now, their contracts end in the summer. So Crystal Palace, Dougie Freeman, Steve Parish will be working on that over the next few weeks and months. And Nathaniel Klein has got a contract now until the end of the season. One of the main questions for Roy Hodgson today was a potential late bid from Arsenal for Patrick Van Aanholt, who is out of contract in the summer. Apparently Arsenal were looking at him. Roy Hodgson said that, well, the actual quote from Roy Hodgson said that was news to me. He'd be very surprised. This is where he's contracted and where I expect him to stay. They're at Newcastle tomorrow. They travel there tomorrow morning. Will Christian Benteke be on that coach as well? He says he expects him to be as well. West Brom were interested in him over the past few weeks, but it looks like Christian Benteke will stay as well. They've signed Mateta on a loan with an option to buy. That was a couple of weeks ago. So Crystal Palace, they were in pretty good shape. Obviously, they're out of the cups, but they beat Wolves at the weekend, so they're not in real danger of any relegation at the moment. It looks like a mid-table finish so far for Crystal Palace, but in the summer, there could be big changes at Palace, especially with those players out of contract. I can't imagine all of them will sign new deals, but Mateta is someone they were looking at for quite some time, potentially going for him in the summer. No, they've got him in January now to bed him in. So no incomings today at Crystal Palace. Doesn't look like any outgoings this evening either. But if anything changes, you'll be first to know right here on Sky Sports News, Jules.
Yeah, busy summer in store at Palace, but a quiet night, I think. Michael, thanks very much indeed.
So quiet for Palace, but not for Derby. But their boss, Wayne Rooney, has made his first signing as a manager. And it was one from his former club. Ten Mengi has joined on loan from Manchester United. And he could be one of 4 new arrivals at Derby today. Fans will like that. Mengi is an 18-year-old central defender. He's made 1 substitute appearance for United in the Europa League and has also been capped by England at under 15, 16, 17 and under 18 level. And they've made another signing as well this evening. Stoke striker Lee Gregory has joined on loan. And he's also expected to sign Rangers defender George Edmondson. He's been at Derby's training ground today. Manchester City winger Patrick Roberts could join as well after cutting short his loan with Middlesbrough. But one player who has left Derby is George Evans. He's moved to Millwall for an undisclosed fee. Tottenham striker Troy Parrott has joined Ipswich on loan. Parrott had been with Millwall for the first part of the season. He failed to score, though, in 14 appearances. Meanwhile, Glenn Murray has left Brighton to join Nottingham Forest on a free transfer. The 37-year-old striker has linked up with his former boss Chris Hughton at the City ground. Murray had been on loan at Watford for the first half of the season.
This is somebody I know very well and somebody that's very used to scoring goals and knows this league very well. But I think it's also his contribution to the squad, you know, to the change room. He's a vastly experienced player, and I think at any stage, at any club, you can always look and lean on that type of player.
Now, Blackburn have signed Manchester City defender Taylor Harwood-Bellis on loan. Now, Blackburn had tried to sign a defender earlier in the window, but City were worried about defensive cover. However, with no Barcelona move for Eric Garcia to this point, Pep Guardiola feels the team have enough options at centre-back. Championship leaders Norwich have added a new goalkeeper to their squad today. Norwegian international Ørjan Nyland has joined until the end of the season. He was a free agent after leaving Aston Villa in October. This was how Norwich announced Nyland's arrival. I like that. Now, a day after signing Mauricio Pochettino's son, Maurizio, Watford's under-23s have added another big name. They've brought in Mitchell Bergkamp. Yes, he's the son of Dennis Bergkamp. Not much to live up to then. Good luck, Mitchell. He's an attacking midfielder, has signed an initial 6-month deal, along with Mauricio Pochettino, who'll join Henry Wise, who's the son of Dennis Wise, at Watford. Omar Reza started his career at Arsenal when Dennis Bergkamp was there and is now Watford's under-23s coach.
Very uncanny, the way he looks and the way he walks and the way his mannerisms are. To be fair, you know, when he first came into the club, it was, you know, a shock. I thought, wow, this is like a doppelganger. But no, listen, he's a very respectful guy. He come in and you know, he's training well, works really hard, wants to learn, wants to develop, and he's got very good qualities.
Goalkeeper Jonas Lossell has left Everton and returned to his former club, FC Midtjylland, on a free transfer. Lossell joined Everton in 2019 but didn't make a single appearance and spent part of last season on loan at his former club, Huddersfield.
So let's get back to that news we broke at the top of the hour, that Ben Davies has completed his move from Preston to Liverpool. That is now official. Liverpool confirming it a short time ago. And of course, when you announce a player signing, you have to have a video on Twitter to go with it. This is how Liverpool announced their new defender. Well, let's get some reaction to that move now. We can head live to the US. NBC's Robbie Earle joins us live here on Deadline Day. Robbie, it's really good to see you. Let's start with that confirmation from Liverpool. Ben Davies swapping the Championship for Anfield and the Premier League champions. I mean, what must be going through his head this evening?
Well, can you believe it? It's something of a surprise. I think it tells you about the market and the financial climate that, you know, Liverpool have looked to bring in 2 young centre-backs, probably spending with a loan and a signing less than £5 million. But I hear good things about Ben Davies, 25 years of age. I heard his former manager, Graham Westley, talking about him this morning. He gave him his debut at 17 years of age. Apparently left-footed, very good on the ball, so it'll be good to build out from the back for Liverpool. Good reader of the game, got a good personality. And one of the things when you move to Liverpool now, and Michael Edwards, who looks after most of the recruitment, I think there's a profile of a certain player. And it's how you are on the pitch, but also off the pitch, and you're part of the environment that Jurgen Klopp's building. And everything I hear tells me that Ben Davies will fit in well.
Let's head down the table to the other end and West Brom now, Robbie. Mbaye Diagne was already through the door. Oke Yokusula, the Turkish international midfielder, is in on loan as well. And they could yet add Ainsley Maitland-Niles. We're just waiting for confirmation on him. If all three get done, how much better equipped are West Brom to stay up now than they maybe were a week ago?
Well, certainly much better. And what Sam wants is usually experienced players who know what they do. Yokuslu are here, Turkish international, a bit of an enforcer. We'll give them a little bit of presence in the middle of the park. And by Jean, assisted Pereira at the weekend, he came. I think we'll give him a bit of focal point and a bit of physicality, which Sam tends to have in the teams that he managed to survive with. And Maitland-Niles, I heard on your show, is fluid at the moment, which I'm not quite sure what that means, whether there's somebody else involved. But obviously, if they can get him over the line as well, he's got good quality in England international, and will make Sam feel a little bit better about trying to get West Brom out of trouble.
Yeah, I think it's a little less fluid now, which is the good news for West Brom fans. It looks like that will happen, Robbie. You mentioned England internationals there. Dele Alli, of course, is an England international. Looks like he'll be staying at Tottenham. I don't think that move to PSG is going to happen. Do you think he can still play a big part for Spurs in the time that remains of the season, or is that it for him under Jose Mourinho?
I'd like to think so, and I think one of the things with Jose Mourinho, and Jose does get a little bit of criticism about his man management. Think of Tanguy and Ndombele, who, you know, was hauled off, I think, in a Burnley game away, was told about his fitness. But Jose never totally shuts the door. I think he always keeps it ajar. And Dele Alli, certainly in the position that Spurs are in right now, saw the game against Brighton yesterday, and you just feel that there's a space for Dele Alli if he can get back on side with the manager, get back in the good books, and make those runs from deep into midfield. He's a unique personality, he's a unique kind of player, and I just feel that there's still some life in Dele Alli yet for Spurs.
Yeah, we've just seen one of his great bits of skill, and let's hope that's the case. And Robbie, I'm aware you've got other duties to get to in Connecticut, so we'll leave it there, but thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Ben Davies is officially a Liverpool player. Coming up, we'll hear from one of their former players, Dirk Kuyt, about Liverpool's business this transfer window. Stay with us. Hey there, welcome back. Now, there's been some business at Manchester City today. Let's go live now to Ben Ransom. He's in our Leeds hub and he can tell us more. Good evening to you, Ben.
Good evening, Jess. It's a confirmation of a story which we brought you yesterday on Sky Sports News. It's now been confirmed that Jayden Braff will spend the rest of the season on loan at Udinese in Italy. Now, he's a young player who City fans will have heard a lot about over the last couple of years. He was regarded as being a precocious talent, but he's never quite been able to break into the first team. And in fact, this season, he's hardly really been involved with the development squad either. So he's got a lot of talent. He's got a big reputation at youth level. And now the hope is that by him going to get some football out on loan, he can start to fulfil some of that undoubted potential. So this is what we brought you yesterday, that Braff would sign to the end of the season, and that we were told there was an option to buy, believed to be in the region of around £9 million. That option to buy has been confirmed. There's no official figures from Manchester City today, but that's our information, that option to buy is around £9 million, and Jayden Braff will spend the rest of this season on loan at Udinese.
Thank you, Ben.
Right, let's cross now to our Monday night football studio, which for one night only is going to be at the Transfer Show studio. Brian Swanson, Dharmesh Sheth and Kaveh Solokol have a new home for the night. What can we expect, gents? Good evening, Brian.
Jules, we are enjoying it down here. We've got Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. We've got their replacements sitting here. And we're just going through the transfer window and the data at the moment. We've still had the vast majority of deals in this window have been loan deals, but well over 110 transfers so far in this winter window. Kaveh, just to bring you in on what we've been hearing there in terms of Liverpool, what do you make of those defensive reinforcements, those late signings?
Well, we heard from Jurgen Klopp last week when he said that he was looking for solutions, but solutions on a budget. And I think Liverpool have done a great job today. They've been very creative. When you actually look at the amount of money they're spending, it is very, very modest. And they're getting two highly rated centre-backs. Now, Ben Davies, it's a dream move for him. At the last minute, they gazumped Celtic. I think he would have played more if he'd gone to Celtic, but he is a really, really good centre-back. And I think it's sort of harking back to the old days when you had a club like Liverpool signing players from the Championships, signing players from League One and League Two. When I was a kid, that used to happen all the time. I'm just wondering, is this because of the new post-Brexit immigration rules, which is making it harder to sign foreign players? But having said that, Liverpool have managed to sign Ozan Kabak as well from Schalke. The only thing I'd be concerned about him is fantastic reports coming out of Germany about how good he is, but he is playing for a Schalke side who are bottom of the Bundesliga. They've won one game all season. They've conceded 49 times in 19 games. So it's going to be a total change of environment for him, going from the bottom of the Bundesliga to a club who are trying to win the Champions League, trying to retain the Premier League title as well. And the final point I would make about these two signings is, what is going to happen to them when Virgil van Dijk is fit again, when Joe Gomez is fit again? Are they going to be happy just sitting on the bench?
Some good points there, Kaveh. Dharmesh, Arsenal key to the deals.
Yeah, so the Kabak deal, Schalke allowing him to go to Liverpool on loan with an option, but provided that they signed someone else as a replacement. Now, it's not been confirmed yet by Arsenal or Schalke, but we know that that player is Shkodran Mustafi. He's into the final 6 months of his contract. Sky in Germany broke it earlier on today that the contract had been terminated and that Schalke would take Shkodran Mustafi on a 6-month permanent contract. It's a strange amount of time, but it does make sense if you think about it, because Schalke are bottom of the Bundesliga. They don't want to be saddled with big wages if they were to get relegated for players who are on big contracts and long-term contracts. Hence, Mustafi would become a free agent after his 6-month spell at Schalke. Of course, we're still waiting for confirmation on that. Sead Kolasinac was another one that in the last transfer window, Schalke managed to get as well from Arsenal, and that once more was on loan because they didn't want to have that issue that if they were to get relegated there again, they'd have players like Kolasinac and Mustafi on their books on huge, huge wages. But I think with the Mustafi situation, it's another example and another player that shows the kind of window Arsenal have had. And when people ask who's had the best transfer window, I mean, I think you could argue Arsenal are up there, because if you think about what Mikel Arteta said in a news conference last month, he set out what he wanted Arsenal to do in this transfer window. He says, it's in 2 halves. I need to offload players. I need to send them out on loan because I can't work with a squad that's this big. And in the second half of the window, if I get enough business done outgoing, maybe, just maybe, I can bring in an attacking midfielder. So what happened? Kolasinac, loan to Schalke. William Saliba, loan to Nice. Socrates, his contract was mutually cancelled. Mesut Ozil, of course, was the big departure as well. So once he'd done all of that, he thought, right, I'm in a position now to have freed up enough wages, freed up enough space in the squad. In comes Martin Odegaard on loan from Real Madrid. And they're not finished, because he did say earlier on in this week, we need to speak to a lot of our players who aren't playing at the moment and decide whether they're going to be best served developing elsewhere or staying at Arsenal. And as we've seen, Mustafi on his way out, Joe Willock on his way out, we think, on to Newcastle United. That one seems to have been agreed, waiting for a formal announcement on that. Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well. The direction of travel is directing that towards West Bromwich Albion. It's a fluid situation, but it looks more and more likely it will be West Bromwich Albion. Players like Reece Nelson, they were talked about as well. Callum Chambers as well. They look like they probably will be staying. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential departures. Big name players from Arsenal with Odegaard coming in.
I mean, Darmesh knows more about Arsenal than I do, but just looking from the outside, what is really impressive is often you hear managers saying, look, it's going to take a few windows to get this right. I know a lot of supporters are impatient. They want their club to make big signings, to sort out their problems in one go, in one window. But what we're seeing under Mikel Arteta is things changing at Arsenal, and it's taking a couple of windows for him to sort out the problems he inherited. And that involves moving players out as well as bringing players in. And I think the other thing that stands out for me about the way Arsenal are doing their business is, in the past, we've seen almost too many people at the top at Arsenal, pushing maybe and pulling in different directions. What you've now got is a really tight relationship between Edu and Mikel Arteta. They are running that club. They are driving the transfer policy, and they're so very close. And whatever Mikel Arteta wants, Edu is going out there and sorting it out for him. So I think, although Arsenal haven't signed anyone permanently, when you look at what Mikel Arteta has done, I think he'll be very, very pleased with the January window that he's had.
And it also highlights that Arteta is the long-term project there. They put their faith in him. He's gone from coach to manager of the first team, working tightly, as Kaveh mentioned there, with the technical director, Edu. So they are in charge, along with Vinay Venkatesham, about bringing those players in. But it's driven by Edu and Mikel Arteta. So everything that you're seeing here is down to the hard work of Edu and Mikel Arteta, that they're trying to find out the right blend for Arsenal. Let's get the players we don't want in this club out. Let's get the players that we do want in and make sure that they come in.
And, of course, Richard Garlick leaving the Premier League to go to Arsenal. I remember speaking to Richard Masters at the Premier League a short time ago, and they said that, you know, he said he's going to be a big loss for Premier League and a really big gain for Arsenal. It's so interesting to speak to Darmesh and Calvi down here in the Transfer Show studio. And Jules and Jess, you know, I'll have a deal sheet. Well, that will kick in at 9 o'clock tonight. That gives clubs an extra 2 hours to complete their transfers. If they get the paperwork done in time, then those deals can be finalised up until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, those dreaded words, the deal sheet. Brian, Kaveh, Darmesh, thanks very much indeed. Oh, and by the way, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher say make sure you leave the studio as you found it.
Will do.
Now, let's head to the South Coast, shall we? Because Southampton have attempted to sign a Liverpool defender. Rebecca Williams is our woman in the know, and she can tell us all about it. Good afternoon to you, Rebecca. Good evening, I should say.
Yeah, good evening, Jess. So we're hearing that they've put a bid in for Neco Williams from Liverpool, but they've had that bid rejected. We know Southampton are keen to sign a defender on loan. We've already seen today that they were in for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. That didn't turn out. His preference was West Brom, where he'd get more game time, where he'd be able to play in his preferred position. Earlier on this window, they're also keen on Brandon Williams. That didn't turn out. And also Japhet Tanganga, but he's staying put. So they've had this bid rejected. We know, of course, that Neco Williams, he's a Welsh international. He's an academy graduate from Liverpool. He's made 4 appearances in the Premier League, 6 appearances in the Champions League, and certainly All eyes are on Southampton now. We know that Ralph Hasenhüttl was really keen to get a player in on loan before the deadline, but there's only a couple of hours left now and the clock is ticking.
Ticking indeed. Thank you for the update, Rebecca.
So Jurgen Klopp has got one of the deals he wanted. Will he get the second? Transfer deadline day continues. And remember, it is that 11 p.m. deadline in England. More next.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in. We are all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Hello there, welcome back. Brighton have signed Ecuador international midfielder Moises Caicedo for £4.5 million on a deal until June 2025. The 19-year-old, who arrives from Ecuadorian side Independiente del Valle, was previously scouted by Manchester United and was linked with a move to Old Trafford over the last few weeks.
He's a young player, midfield player, physical, athletic, box-to-box, a little bit different to what we have. I think he's at the moment he's one for the future, because I think the last time he played was middle of December. He's been on a break. It's quite a complex deal to go through, so I think we'll have to be patient with him, let him settle in, let him adapt to us and a new country and a new team and a new league. But yeah, he's an exciting young player.
whatever the price is, it looks like it's going to be a steal, because if this fella was Brazilian, you'd be adding another 0 on the price tag. I've got no doubts about him as a player, central midfielder with box-to-box skills. The only doubt would be as a human being. Can he go through the adaptation process? That's not always easy, especially for those from the north of the continent, Ecuador, Colombia and so on. Talk about Brighton maybe loaning him to Belgium. Now, in the insignificance of my opinion, I can't really see the point of that. Brighton have to treat him as if he's special, and of course loaning him to Belgium isn't going to do very much for the development of his skills in the English language. So hopefully Brighton can get this deal and Brighton can make him feel special, because I think they've got a special talent there.
Right, let's head back to the Monday Night Football studio, which for one night only is the home of the transfer show. We just heard from Dharmesh, Kave and Brian. We're going straight back to you, Dharmesh, because I believe you've got a Premier League update for us.
Yes, thanks, Julian. We talked a lot about Scott Parker and Fulham wanting to bring in a striker in this transfer window. Well, they are very, very close, I'm told, to completing the signing of Josh Maja from Bordeaux. Bit of news that I have been told is we were thinking it was only going to be a straight loan, but we're now told that loan comes with an option, and the option price is around 10 million euros, which works out to be around £9 million. I'm told the medical has been done, personal terms have been agreed. They are just finalising the paperwork on that deal. So, Josh Maja, Bordeaux to Fulham on loan with an option, very close.
Dharmesh, thanks very much.
Now, it's been a busy day for Liverpool, hasn't it? They've just confirmed the signing of defender Ben Davies and are close to bringing in possibly another centre-back. Let's speak now to former Liverpool forward Dirk Kuyt. What a pleasure to have you with us on transfer deadline day, Dirk. And, you know, a boost for Liverpool's defence. How much do they need cover in that position?
We all have seen that Liverpool is struggling in the defence because of the injuries, and I think this is perfect for Liverpool to have two defenders at the moment coming in, and I'm sure they are ready to show what they can bring to the team. So normally you don't see this kind of signings to Liverpool, but I think it's a great opportunity.
And Dirk, the other incoming deal would be the Schalke centre-back, Ozan Kabak. Schalke are struggling, aren't they, in Germany? Bottom of the table, just one win and 49 goals conceded. What's it going to be like for him to come, firstly, into a different country, but also from a team that's been struggling to a side where they're expected to win every game, pretty much?
Well, for him, it's also a great opportunity. I'm watching the Bundesliga very often, and my former teammate in the national team, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, just joined them. So it was a bit of a surprise for me. They let him go to Liverpool, but for the lad, it's a great opportunity, and I think he's a good signing because he's still very young, but he played a lot of games so far, and I'm really looking forward to see him play for Liverpool.
Now, Dirk, for Kabak and for Davies, there's going to be a lot of competition for their positions that they're playing in, particularly when the first-choice centre-backs come back. Do you still feel these new signings will be happy with the decision they made in going to Liverpool, being that it's going to be so competitive to get playing time?
Yeah, but this is for both of them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because we all know normally Jurgen Klopp wouldn't sign this kind of players, but because of the injuries, this kind of players can have a chance. And I think that's the positive about younger players. We've seen it in the past years that Jurgen Klopp doesn't hesitate to try these kind of young players, and who knows what they can bring to the team. Okay, Davies is 25 years, but he played a couple of seasons in the Championship now. And we will see what he can bring to the team, and who knows, because in football everything is possible.
Dirk, you know Liverpool very well and how they get their transfer business done. Are you at all surprised that, given we know they've had these injury problems, they've been mounting over the recent weeks, are you surprised it's come to this time on deadline day for them to get their deals done?
If you look to the philosophy of Liverpool Football Club, they don't bring in so many players. They also want to give the talented players an opportunity. The younger players of the academy of Liverpool, they want to give them an opportunity. So I was not expecting a big transfer unless there were big injuries, especially in the defence. So I can understand why Jurgen is bringing these two players on loan, and I'm not sure if that's the case, but hopefully with a potential buy.
Dirk, thank you very much indeed. I think you're staying on to talk about the title race after 9 o'clock, so we'll hear more from you shortly. Thank you. Just to bring you some breaking news, it's really significant as well. Bournemouth have verbally agreed a deal with both Everton and Fulham for striker Joshua King. He's been linked with a move away from Bournemouth in the last couple of windows, and it seems it's now a two-horse race, and this could be happening this evening. But will Joshua King be leaving Bournemouth for Everton or for Fulham? Deals agreed with both clubs, so now it's a question of which one he goes to. We're told that the deals are structured differently, which is why it's a complicated situation at this late stage. And Jess, it sure is late in the day, isn't it? What, 5 to 9? The deadline's a couple of hours away.
Exactly. Not long to go now. But do stay with us, because Jim White and Vicky Gormasol are next.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is deadline day with less than 2 hours to go until the transfer window shuts. Less than 2 hours to go until Harry Redknapp actually gets to us here at Sky in West London. Now, where is he? And this is the breaking news tonight. It was driving to us tonight. Everything was fine. He was on the M4, came off the M4, went onto the M3, and now cannot get off the M3. So we have a Houston. We have a problem. Now, this is the night that Harry, of course, is used to winding his window down and speaking to people outside his car. It might be you. If Harry stops and asks for directions and you know where Sky is, and remember, keep your social distance when you answer his question, tell him where we are at Sky, West London, that massive building. You can't miss it. Harry, 2 hours to go. Get here, please. What about Liverpool? Liverpool's search for a new defender has dominated the day, and in the last hour, they've got a signing over the line.
Hi there, good evening. Yes, hashtag where's Harry? Yes, it's one done deal, but there are plenty more to be completed, including West Brom's pursuit of Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Plus, we'll find out what Brighton can expect from their newest signing, Moses Caicedo.
Very happy to be in Brighton.
Good evening. This is no joke. We're waiting for Harry. He's got 2 hours to get here. Let's start with the champions Liverpool, though, who have made their move for a new defender tonight, and another may soon follow. So it's going to get busy from now until 11 o'clock. I'm joined by Vinny O'Connor, my colleague here at Sky Sports. Vinny, good evening to you. You haven't seen Harry, have you?
Unfortunately not, Jim, no.
Okay.
We've been here in Leeds all day. It's been a decent crew as well, to be fair.
If you see him, send him over. You're in a building adjacent to our one. He's bound to arrive soon. Vinny, he'll be on his way. We're sure he's going to get here. Vinny, Ben Davies is a Liverpool player. Tell us how this amazing move for this player came about, because yesterday lunchtime he was going to Celtic.
I keep saying, Jim, what a story this is. And as you say, he looked set for Celtic. He had effectively agreed a pre-contract agreement with the club. At least that was what we were told. And there was potential for Celtic to make that deal happen today as well by paying a fee up front. But the business side of it with Liverpool, it's a decent deal for Preston North End as well. They get £500,000 up front. The potential for £1.1 million in add-ons as well. That would be based on success, appearances. There's an England appearance clause in there. Also, a 20% sell-on clause on profit as well. But back to what a story this is for Ben Davies himself as a player. As I say, Liverpool nipping in ahead of Celtic to offer him the chance of Premier League football, of Champions League football as well. And a short while ago, Ben Davies spoke to Liverpool's in-house media, and this is the interview he gave on Liverpool's Twitter feed.
That's how they announce new players these days. So Ben Davies is in at Liverpool. What a dream move for him. Vinny, Sky Germany tonight tell us they haven't seen Harry either. But the move for Ozan Kabak from Schalke is done. So what are Liverpool saying about that?
And to be fair, Sky Germany did see Ozan Kabak earlier today when he was undergoing his medical in Gelsenkirchen. Now, Liverpool aren't confirming that this deal is agreed just yet. However, we do have the detail on the proposed deal, which is initially a loan, Liverpool paying a £1 million fee with a possibility of £500,000 in add-ons. Again, the fee on that loan being reported over in Germany is slightly higher, a bit of a discrepancy there. But contained within the deal is an option to buy in the summer. The option figure is £18 million, we're told, up front, with a potential for it to rise to £26.5 million with add-ons. Again,
This deal has come about because he's a player that's been recommended to Jurgen Klopp by David Wagner over the past 12 months. He's been recommended by Christian Heidel as well, who worked with Jurgen Klopp at Mainz, of course, the former sporting director of Schalke. He's back working at Mainz as well. And it works well for Liverpool, doesn't it? They get the chance to look at a player who's been recommended to them, assess him over 5 months, really, and then decide whether or not they want to keep him. So it works out pretty well for them, particularly, of course, getting in another centre-half to cover for the injuries that they have. We also see Sepp van den Berg departing Liverpool. That was effectively linked, I suppose, to the Ben Davies deal, given that he's joined Preston North End on loan until the end of the season. There's quotes from Sepp van den Berg as well. He says he's looking forward to it. I'm happy here. I'm happy. Hopefully I can play a lot of games. I hopefully can achieve something good this season, and hopefully I can develop here with Preston North End very well. So 3 potential deals, 1 outgoing there at Liverpool, 2 coming in. We're told as well from Liverpool that those 2 incomings will be the remainder of their business in this window.
It's an incredible story, Vinny, isn't it? I mean, Ben Davies and this fellow Ozan Kabak, their lives have suddenly changed overnight, haven't they? Both of them to Liverpool. As you know, all things Merseyside, Vinny, we have breaking news regards Everton tonight. Now, this is going to be one that's going to go right down to the wire. There always is one on deadline day, and this will be it. Tell us more. They have indeed, or have they agreed to sign Josh King from Bournemouth?
They have agreed a deal verbally with Bournemouth, as have Fulham, for Joshua King. Now, we heard earlier today, obviously there was a lot of talk of Bernard leaving for El Nazir. That deal didn't happen, and it was thought then that that would hamper any kind of hopes Everton had of bringing in another attacking option. Of course, they could do with one. They've allowed Cenk Tosun to go on loan to Besiktas. Then subsequently there have been developments with Everton are more willing to let Anthony Gordon go on loan, and we know that his potential loan move to Preston North End is moving a little bit closer. So we thought there was potential for something in the fire. As I say, that Bernard deal not happening, we initially thought that that would negate any chance they had of getting Joshua King. Well, now, as we say, Bournemouth have verbally agreed a deal with both Everton and Fulham for Joshua King. The 29-year-old, remember, is out of contract in the summer. He's been linked with a host of clubs as well. Both deals, both agreements with Everton and Fulham are structured somewhat differently as well. So we're awaiting developments as regards what is going to happen next. Joshua King obviously now has to make up his mind and is deliberating over what is the next step for him. But there isn't long to get that deal completed before that deadline tonight.
There is not, Vinny, an hour and 52 minutes, so Josh King will be on the move, but where? Vinny, thank you very much for that. It's interesting, it's quite clear that Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp had no real intention of going to Preston for Ben Davies. This is what Klopp says tonight. He says, what I like about Ben is it just shows that each situation creates opportunities. I think it's probably clear that in a normal transfer window, without any issues, we would not look at Preston if there's a player for us or something like that. It's not really likely. But since we saw him, and since our situation got clearer and clearer, the problems we had, no doubt it means by that Van Dijk and Gomez being out, when we saw him, we got really excited about it and thought, wow.
Well, it's something that Luton fans can get excited about, because Tom Ince is now your player, because he has moved from Championship club to another Championship club. The Championship club, of course, he's gone from is Stoke, and he's moved to Luton. We'll bring you more on that deal a little bit later. Let's get more then on the Liverpool forward, because we can speak to the former Liverpool player, Dirk Kuyt, who's still with us. Good evening to you, Dirk. Good to have you back on with us. Look, first of all, the defence obviously is strengthened at Liverpool. Do you feel now they're ready to retain this title?
Well, of course, the defense is still a bit of a problem. And like Jurgen just said in his quote, that normally you don't look at these kind of players in these kind of moments. But because of the defensive injuries, he had to do something. And this is a great opportunity for both of the young players. And I'm really excited to see them. And yeah, we will have to wait and see it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was an area that they were really struggling with. Of course, they're up against top of the table, high-flying Manchester City, who don't seem to be able to be beaten at the moment. Are you looking forward to that match this weekend on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's a really important match for Liverpool, as Manchester City, of course. But I think we have seen in the Premier League so far, and especially this season, that everything is possible Liverpool has been on top of the league. Spurs have been on top of the league. And if you just only watch this week, you see many teams struggling. Leicester, Everton, Man United, Spurs, they're all dropping at least 5 points, and Spurs even 6. And Liverpool won 2 games, and look where they are now. So this weekend is an important one. And if City struggling a little bit somewhere in the season, it's going to be a tight season for all these teams.
Yeah, I was lucky to talk to Jurgen Klopp on Friday, and he talks about the intensity of this season. Would you agree with that? Would you say it's a really intense season for everyone?
Yeah, it's a really intense season, especially because of the COVID problems. The teams didn't play for a while, then they had to finish the season. And a few weeks later, the season started again with more games than ever, without playing with the crowd. So it's very special, and that makes it very interesting for this season. But because also the competition is very tight between more than 2 teams. Like last season, it was Manchester City and Liverpool, but now I think we have more teams who can compete for the championship.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In terms of this weekend, we watched, a pretty buoyant Liverpool beat West Ham, and Sheffield United pushed Manchester City this weekend. From what you saw, who's going to win at the weekend between City and Liverpool? I'm going to put you right on the spot.
Well, of course, I'm always aiming for Liverpool, and I have a huge confidence in the team. That's normal, I think. But it's going to be a tight game. And in the Premier League, there are no easy games, but this is going to be a very special one. And it's interesting because City have won a few games in a row. But if we've seen Liverpool playing against Spurs and also in the weekend against West Ham, they've done a great job. And I think they find the momentum back with Thiago in a slightly different role, with Wijnaldum in the position of Thiago, and Henderson doing a great job at the back. So I'm looking forward to the weekend, and of course I'm aiming for Liverpool.
Yeah, of course. I didn't expect you to say anything less. Look, in terms of Thiago, what have you made of his performances? Because he's getting mixed opinions back here. What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, he's still one of the best midfielders in the world. But if you come to the Premier League, it's something totally different. The tension is much higher. Physically, the players are stronger. And you have to use to the kind of playing style in the Premier League. And for me, I've watched him, of course, every game he played. In the beginning, he was struggling a little bit in the position he was playing. But since Gini Wijnaldum took over his position and he played a bit more up the midfield, it looks like he feels more confident. And I can only say he's done really well against Spurs and West Ham. And there was a great performance, not only of him, but also of the team.
Yeah, and in terms of the team, the fact that so many players are sort of playing, I say so many, a couple of players are playing out of position. How well do you feel they've coped with that, do you think?
Well, I think that's a big credit for Klopp, because whatever happens, so many injuries in the back. If we see the team in the weekend, he couldn't start with Firmino, he couldn't start with Mane, but he just put the players on the pitch he's got, and he gives them a great confidence. And they've done the job for him. So Liverpool at the moment is more than 11 players.
Yeah, let's talk about one of their main players, Mohamed Salah. He had his doubters a few weeks ago, but he seems to have turned a corner. He scored a couple at the weekend. What have you made of him so far this season? I know he's had COVID. Is that something you're concerned about? Because he may still have these effects, this long COVID that everyone's talking about.
Well, for me, the point is that because of the winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, the expectation of the Liverpool players is so high. Last season, they were winning every game. And in football, this won't take forever. So as soon as these kind of players like Mane or Salah or Alexander-Arnold are playing a little bit less, people start to criticize them. But if you see Salah the last couple of weeks, he's been amazing. And for me, he's one of the best players in the world, especially in his form at the moment.
Can I just ask you finally, of course, Ben Davies tonight has signed for Liverpool from Preston North End. What was it like when you arrived at Liverpool? I mean, coming along for this massive club, how much pressure was on you, did you feel? And how welcome did they make you feel?
Well, from the first day I came to Melwood back in the days. Now I know they changed the training ground. I felt one of them, and they take you as part of one big family. And for me, of course, it was also a huge step coming from Holland from the Eredivisie to the Premier League to Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So I was so excited to play for the club, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. So I can only say to Ben Davies, he will be really excited, and he get a great opportunity, what he probably didn't expect a couple of weeks ago. But my advice to him is just enjoy and learn as much as you can, because playing for Liverpool is one of the best things what can happen to a football player.
Yeah, the fans absolutely loved you. It's really good to get your thoughts tonight. Thanks for joining us, Dirk.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a good night.
We will.
Dirk Kuyt looking good. Where have the blonde curls gone, I wonder? My studio guest, Harry Redknapp, still not with us at this stage. The last we heard, he's on the M3, having got lost on the M4, or was it the other way around? Anyway, suffice to say, on deadline day this evening, he's not where he should be. And that really is deja vu for this man, isn't it? Peter Odemwingie, good evening.
Hi, Jim.
Peter, how are you? This time Harry is not where he should be on deadline day. There's a kind of strange irony in this, isn't there?
Yes, of course. When I heard it, I had to laugh a little bit. So obviously I'll have some words for him, and I would like to hear how it will make him feel.
He's on his way. Peter, delighted you've joined us. Does it make you look back and laugh at that crazy night when you pitched up at Loftus Road all these years ago?
Of course. But, life's never smooth, as I said. I went through, of course, a difficult year. And luckily, though, I fell into the hands of the Potters a year after in a January transfer window, and they put me back together. So Harry survived in the jungle, so I'm sure he'll be all right after this.
Harry has survived in the jungle. Peter, it is great to speak to you. You're going to watch us right up to the deadline. It seems that the big story tonight may be Josh King on the move from Bournemouth. He'll have a choice of clubs to make. What do you make of that? He's a good player, Peter, isn't he?
Yes, I remember. Yeah, a few good performances from him. I'm sure he's hungry for, a higher level. So a hungry player means, some goals will be coming from him with the type of quality he has.
Peter, we all got there in the end. Great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be in touch with you soon.
No problem. I'm glued to the TV now.
Thank you, Peter. This is deadline day and less than 2 hours to go now for Harry to get here. He's 10 minutes away. He's 10 minutes away. OK, good stuff. Next, we'll have the latest on Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Stay with us.
I'm in.
We are all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
welcome back. Not long now till the window slams shuts. 1 hour 39 and 7 seconds. There we are. Sam Allardyce has been busy in this window. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has completed a deadline day move, and it's a loan move to the Hawthorns. And that is not the only business that has been done. Our reporter Rob Dorset has more. So, Rob, you've been busy all day. What can you tell us?
Well, Vicky, West Bromwich Albion have less than 1 hour 39 minutes to complete the loan signing of Ainsley Maitland-Niles from Arsenal, and this is one that they've been working on for a good while now. In truth, at the start of the day it looked unlikely. It looked like Southampton, Leicester, Newcastle even were ahead of West Bromwich Albion in the attempts to sign Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan. And now we've reached that period where we wait and it's pretty silent. Throughout the day, I speak to contacts, I speak to people close to the club, people close to the player to find out where we're at. Well, of course, all of those people are now busy involved in trying to get this deal done before that 11 o'clock deadline. So it's all gone very quiet. We had a scare a couple of hours ago from a West Brom perspective when it seemed that another Premier League club were trying to hijack the deal at the last minute, but that looks like it's gone away. The issue for West Brom now is a race against time. Can they get this deal done in the next less than an hour and 40 minutes and get Ainsley Maitland-Niles signed and sealed as a West Bromwich Albion player on loan from Arsenal for the rest of the season? As you say, they've already had a pretty good day because Okay Yokuşlu has joined on loan from Celta Vigo, a midfielder that Sam Allardyce has spoken very, very highly of. He thinks he can fulfil a really important role for them as that defensive midfield player in front of the back four. Allardyce now, though, wants Maitland-Niles. It would be a coup for West Brom if they can get it done. They think they will, but that time is running out. Will West Bromwich Albion seal him as one of their players for the rest of the season? They expect to do so, but the next hour and a half will be absolutely critical.
Yeah, certainly will. Thank you ever so much, Rob.
Now let's get to one of the day's done deals. Brighton have signed the midfielder Moises Caicedo from the Ecuadorian club Independiente del Valle for a fee of around £4.5 million. He is just 19-year-old, this midfielder, and he signed a contract at the Amex until 2025. Brighton posted a short video of Caicedo announcing himself to the fans on their social media accounts.
Very happy to be in Brighton.
Short and sweet, but that was nice. Brighton head coach Graham Potter has described the signing of Caicedo, who had been scouted indeed by Manchester United, as extremely exciting for the football club, but he's urged patience.
He's a young player, midfield player, physical, athletic, box to box, a little bit different to what we have. I think he's at the moment he's one for the future because I think the last time he played was middle of December. He's been on a break. It's quite a complex deal to go through, so I think we'll have to be patient with him, let him settle in, let him adapt to us and a new country and a new team and a new league. But yeah, he's an exciting young player.
Now, Newcastle fans, here's a bit of news for you tonight because Arsenal midfielder Joe Willock is joining you on loan for the remainder of the season. The deal is yet to be fully finalised. In fact, this man will tell us more. We can go to him, we can go to him. Keith Downey is with us tonight. Keith, is this done? Is it close to being over the line?
Hi, Jim. Yeah, it's pretty close, it must be said. Newcastle trying to finalise this deal. It's taken pretty much all day to get it done. They approached Arsenal this morning to see if they could bring Joe Willock in on loan. Steve Bruce telling us first thing this morning at his news conference that he was attempting to bring in one or two new players. We knew one of them, and that was Hamza Chowdhury at Leicester. That one has not happened. He's staying at Leicester because they're unable to bring in a replacement. But Joe Willock is the other one that he's decided to go to. And after a couple of hours today of Willock trying to decide whether to join the club or not, he has decided that he will come to Newcastle for the remainder of the season. So Newcastle trying to put the finishing touches to this one, but as you can see on the clock here, just over an hour and a half left, so this one might go to the wire. Steve Bruce desperate to bring in some midfield reinforcements. He's lost DeAndre Yedlin today, who's signed a permanent deal at Galatasaray. Joe Willock comes in and takes his place if they get it done in time. It could be a late one for Newcastle and a busy day for them. Even though it's just the one player, they have tried a few others as well. So it's been a busy transfer deadline day as far as Newcastle are concerned, with a bit more work yet to do.
Keith, good man. You're used to late ones, mate. Tonight will be no different. Thanks for that.
OK, Derby boss Wayne Rooney has made his first signing as a manager, and it was from one of his former clubs. Tendon Mengi has joined on loan from Manchester United, and he could be one of 4 new arrivals at Derby. Mengi is an 18-year-old central defender. He's made 1 substitute appearance for United in the Europa League, and he's also been capped by England at under 15, 16, 17 and 18 level. Now, Derby have made another signing this evening. Stoke striker Lee Gregory has joined on loan. And he's also expected to sign Rangers defender George Edmondson. He's been at Derby's training ground today, George has, and Manchester City winger Patrick Roberts could also join as well after cutting short his loan with Middlesbrough. But one player has left Derby. George Evans has moved to Millwall for an undisclosed fee.
So, as you can see behind me, about an hour and a half to go. The clock is ticking. Still a lot of deals being done, a lot of talking going on, and certainly a lot of work to be done yet in the last 90 minutes of transfer deadline day. Harry Redknapp very close to joining us at this stage. Well, he's close to where Sky is here in West London. That's about as far as we know at the moment. When he gets here, he'll be made most welcome.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in. We are all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Transfer deadline day, deals being done right, left, and I can tell you, Celtic fans, you've got your man. I've seen this boy many times for Everton. Good player, John Joe Kenny, has joined Celtic on loan tonight for the rest of this campaign. The 23-year-old right back will link up with Celtic, having made just 8 appearances for the Blues this season. He's an academy graduate, is John Joe. He joined Everton at the age of 9, but he spent last season on loan at Schalke in in Germany. He's been capped at England youth level a number of times, and now the next stage in his career, he's still only 23, he heads to Celtic. You couldn't make this up with where are we, how many minutes to go until the actual deadline? There we go, 1 hour and 29 minutes. This is Harry. He's on his way. Vicky, you carry on.
Yeah, you better take that call. He better be here. OK, let's get more on a very productive window for Arsenal and join Brian, Darmish and Carver, who are downstairs. Evening, guys.
Vicky, we're just waiting, like you are, for Harry Redknapp to arrive. We're all just sitting here, absolutely pensive, waiting for him to get here before this deadline. Arsenal have, as you've just said, been one of the busiest Premier League sides. Interesting to hear your thoughts, Darmish. They've had some pretty high-profile players have left, haven't they?
I think when you look at what Arsenal's window's been like, when the question is asked at the end of this transfer window, who's had the best window, you could actually lay claim to Arsenal having the best window in one way, simply because Mikel Arteta had a plan for this transfer window. And he said last month, it's going to be in 2 halves. I need to send players out on loan in the first half. I need to cut the wage bill in the first half. I need to reduce the numbers of the squad in the first half because this squad is too big. And then the second half, just maybe, if there's an opportunity to bring in an attacking central midfielder that Edu, the technical director, had pinpointed as an area that they wanted to strengthen, then maybe we can do it. So the first half of the window came along. Sead Kolasinac on loan to Schalke. William Saliba on loan to Nice. Socrates' contract was mutually terminated. Mesut Ozil was the big one. He left. His contract was mutually terminated and off he went to Fenerbahce. And then we thought, right, are Arsenal going to try and get that attacking central midfielder? And away they went. And in came Martin Odegaard from Real Madrid. But it wasn't finished there because I still think at that point Mikel Arteta thought this squad is still too big to work with, and he looked at some of the players that were in that squad and perhaps the impact Odegaard had had on some of the other players maybe being pushed down the pecking order, and looked at them and thought, right, there are a number of players here who might be best served developing elsewhere rather than staying at Arsenal. And today, Shkodran Mustafi looks like he's on his way to Schalke, only had 6 months left on his contract. We're expecting a formal announcement on that one very soon, by the way. Hopefully, so keep your eye out on that. Ainsley Maitland-Niles to West Bromwich Albion. That looks like it's very close now. And Joe Willock on loan to Newcastle United. Also, again, very, very close. So 7, there are other players who have left as well, some young players, but 7 high-profile players he's managed to get off the books. And he's brought in Odegaard, he's brought in Matt Ryan as well, the goalkeeper from Brighton. So there have been a lot of high-profile departures, but I think Mikel Arteta and Edu have worked so hard during this transfer window, they will look back on it and think, what we intended to do has come to fruition.
1 hour, 26 minutes left in this window. Calvi, how important do you think it was that Arteta was able to move Mesut Ozil on?
Look, I think Darmish has made some really good points there. It's in danger of turning into a bit of an Arsenal loving. But what I see happening at Arsenal is Mikel Arteta really taking control of that club. Similar situation to what we're seeing happening at West Ham with David Moyes. He's in charge. Mikel Arteta is now in charge of Arsenal, and he's got a great relationship with Edu. In the past, we've seen almost too many people at the top at Arsenal pulling and pushing in different directions. Now it's Mikel Arteta and Edu. And your question about Mesut Ozil, he needed to go. That needed to be sorted out. And when you think of the money that he was on, £350,000 a week, Arsenal did very, very well to get him out of the club before his contract runs out in 6 months' time. So I think Arsenal, I have to agree with Darmish, they've had a fantastic window. And you often hear managers saying, look, it's going to take more than one window to sort this out. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 windows. And that's what we're seeing under Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. Every window, they're making progress, either with bringing players in or moving players out, and significantly getting that wage bill down. That is what they had to do, because their wage bill was far, far, far too high. And when you look at the players they've bought in, they've all been sensible signings, very modest loan fees. Martin Odegaard and Matt Ryan from Brighton as well. So, great window for Arsenal. I agree with Darmish.
Wow, it's taken this long. finally agree with me. But Carve actually does make some good points as well.
Wow.
But the point I wanted to make was about Mikel Arteta, and he talks about Mikel Arteta and Edu and having that control at the club. It's just highlights what's happened in this transfer window, that Mikel Arteta moved from being a coach to a manager. He's working alongside Edu, working with Vinay Venkateshan. They've got rid of some of the hierarchy at Arsenal, to the point now it just looks like Mikel Arteta is the long-term project at Arsenal. We were talking about, are they in relegation trouble? Is Mikel Arteta under pressure? I think what has happened since and what's happening now purely shows Arsenal say, Mikel Arteta, you are a long-term project. Away you go.
We mentioned Mikel Arteta there. That was, of course, a permanent transfer. We've just had more than 70% of all deals done in this window have been loan deals. Jim, still 1 hour, 23 minutes to go. The countdown continues.
Very good, guys. Thank you very much indeed. There has been a whole lot of speculation about what might happen at certain clubs during this window in terms of players going out on loan. I was thinking about Dele Alli. Is there a chance of him going to PSG to rejoin Mauricio Pochettino? It hasn't happened. In actual fact, my colleague Paul Gilmore will tell us a lot more because he's at where it's at regarding Tottenham tonight. Paul, good evening. What do you know?
Good evening, Jim. Yeah, Dele Alli will not be leaving Tottenham in this window. It's something that he's been talked about quite a bit, hasn't he, over the last two windows. PSG wanted him in on loan. Dele Alli wanted to go on loan. He wants regular first-team football, but it didn't happen. Spurs couldn't get a replacement. They were open to the prospect of bringing Christian Eriksen back to the club. Far too complicated a deal to get done, and they couldn't find any other replacement. It wasn't to be any old replacement they were after, but simply somebody who could come in and compete for the first team straight away, somebody who could meet the standards of a Dele Alli or a Christian Eriksen. Not easy to find in a January window, never mind a January window in the middle of a pandemic. So it has been difficult for Tottenham to find that replacement. They have maintained all along, by the way, that they want Dele Alli to stay and fight for his place. He does still have a lot of admirers at this club. He is somebody who's given the club memorable moments, memorable goals. He's a Champions League finalist. He was twice a PFA Young Player of the Year for his performances at Tottenham. So clearly well thought of, but Tottenham are hoping that he can respond in the same way that Tanguy Ndombele did, and when he was out of favour, and that the situation looked like it wasn't going to be resolved. He was the club's record signing, but all parties got together and they made it work, and clearly that's what they will be happening. Dele Alli simply wants to play. He has liked a couple of tweets tonight. The first one from the Sky Sports News Twitter account. Sky Sports News Twitter put out a tweet quoting Paul Merson saying Ali must play. He liked that tweet from his account, and also one where Harry Redknapp was talking about him playing regularly. So that's all Dele Alli wants. He has ambitions to rediscover the form that he showed so often in his early career at Tottenham, and he has also got a sight set on the rearranged Euro 2020 tournament with England. So what needs to happen? Well, they need to find an arrangement. They need to get him to play regularly. Will that happen under Jose Mourinho? It will be fascinating to watch because he has only played 74 minutes of Premier League football this season. One other thing, Paulo Gazzaniga, the goalkeeper, he is close to completing a move to Elche in Spain. It's a loan move, and we'll bring you more on that as we get it, but he is close. Elche, of course, have a game against Villarreal, so if he is ready to make his debut, he will come up against fellow Spurs loanee Juan Foyth. It was 25 degrees in Elche today, so good choice from Paulo Gazzaniga.
Great stuff, Paul. Thank you very much.
OK, let's get to some breaking news now involving Southampton and a deal for a Liverpool forward. Becky Williams has got more on this. What can you tell us, Becky?
Yeah, if they manage to pull this one off, it will be quite a coup for Southampton with just over an hour left until the deadline. We're hearing that they have bid for Takumi Minamino from Liverpool, negotiating over a 6-month loan move, and we are told that an agreement in principle has been reached. He's undergoing his medical this evening. The negotiations only started this morning, so this is a rather last-minute deal from Southampton. But we know that they are really keen to bring in a player on loan. They've had a number of injuries in recent weeks, and certainly Ralph Hasenhüttl's been hinting that he hopes there will be some business done before the end of the deadline. But of course, the clock is ticking. Minamino, an attacking midfielder, he also plays on the wing. He's a Japanese international, joined Liverpool last year. He's made 19 appearances, scored 1 goal in that time, and he of course came from Red Bull Salzburg. So this would be a pretty exciting move for Southampton if they can get it over the line in time. Just over an hour to play with.
Yeah, I don't reckon Liverpool fans will like that at all, but Southampton fans will. Thank you very much, Becky.
Vicky, thank you very much indeed. Tell the Sky News helicopter it can return to base because look at this, ladies and gentlemen, we found him on deadline day. Harry Redknapp. Oh yeah, we can shake hands. Have a seat. Good to see you. You've been on the M3. You were on the M4.
I've been everywhere, man. Yeah, on the M3. Plenty of time. 3.25 hours it took me from Bournemouth.
How many?
3.25.
Oh. 3.25 hours from Bournemouth. We can call off the search. I'll do that right now. More from Harry as we approach the deadline. I can't even see it. 1 hour, 18 minutes to go. Time enough, eh? For you and I.
Plenty of time tonight.
Plenty of time. There's no panic. It's deadline day, folks.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out. Partnering to end racism in sport.
So it is transfer deadline night, 1 hour 15 minutes to go, and the man himself has arrived on set. To a huge ovation, I have to say, here at Sky Sports News, and well deserved. Harry Redknapp is with us tonight, right through the deadline and beyond. You had a bit of a time getting here, did you? There was an accident in the motorway.
Yeah, I got on the M3 and going along lovely, plenty of time, and then suddenly signs flash up, accident, junction 4 to junction 2 closed, whatever.
Oh dear.
So I had to divert all the way back, and Jim, I didn't have a clue, but in the end I got lost. I've ended up coming up the M4, cutting across to Reading, and.
Do we have a sat-nav in the vehicle?
We do, Jim, but I have to be truthful. I've changed my car, and I don't know how to. I've not been anywhere since I've had the car because we're in lockdown. And I thought, well, I know my way here easy enough, so I haven't got a clue how to work the sat-nav. I can't work it. It's too complicated.
We don't need sat-navs. Harry Redknapp is with us here tonight, and that is the main thing. It is great to see you. People were getting worried. They were calling in. It's fantastic for you to be here. One little gag you don't know about. You know who we had on just before you arrived? He was saying, well, now he knows how it feels. Peter Odemwingie was talking.
No.
Yes.
No, not Peter.
He was talking to us tonight. Harry, let's get to it because, in actual fact, it was always going to be a bit of a strange window and a strange deadline day. It is proving to be that way, but there's a lot of activity out there. You'll have heard, no doubt, on your arrival, and I heard a couple of the lads explaining to you, Josh King will be on the move tonight, but he's got a choice to make because we hear Everton and Fulham have both verbally agreed a deal with Bournemouth to take Josh King. What happens in a situation like this, you've been in this situation
before. He's got to make his own mind up, surely. It's where he wants to go. But, I mean, I knew they're looking to... he's out of contract at the end of the year. I'll be truthful, Jim. I don't think his heart is in with Bournemouth. I watched him play. I followed his career at Bournemouth. He's been fantastic. Him and Wilson together I've seen them absolutely murder teams, top teams. When they've had Liverpool, Man City down, Tottenham, whoever's been to Bournemouth, them two have been almost unplayable. He's come back this year. I think that Jason's put him in the team, Jason Tindall, and I don't think he's been anywhere near the same boy. I think his heart is on a move in the summer, and I think it was. So I think they've decided, look, it's better if he goes now. But he can play. He can play.
Well, he's got a choice to make now, Harry, and a choice between two great clubs, you would think.
Absolutely.
Either Everton, of course, under Ancelotti, or Fulham with Scotty Parker, who you know very, very well.
He's got pace. He'll be a good signing for someone.
Yeah,
sure.
But for him, it's a good time to move. He's got to move.
He's got to move, and Bournemouth, I think, need to move him because you only want people at your club that want to be there. And I spoke to Jason Tindall, and as much as he liked Josh King, he felt his heart wasn't, it wasn't quite where it should be at the moment with Bournemouth, and he wants to move. So it's better for both parties. He's got to move, and Bournemouth can move on now and bring, play someone who wants to play.
Yeah, that one we hear is going to go right to the wire, Harry. So we've got just over an hour to go. The talking will go on, and certainly either Everton or Fulham will win the day for the signature of Josh King. That's about as far as we know at this stage. As soon as we know, you'll know. Harry, your former club Tottenham. A lot of Tottenham fans still speak about your time there. I remember your time there. You remember I came to Real Madrid to watch you play Real Madrid that night in the Champions League. Adebayor ran riot, if you recall, that night. We didn't expect that. Now, Tottenham today, we heard that Dele Alli it was looking on the cards, and certainly his representatives thought that he would head out and reunite with Mauricio Pochettino at PSG. They were in again to do a loan deal for him. As far as we gather, Dele Alli wanted it to happen, of course. His representatives wanted it to happen. Pochettino wanted it to happen. Crucially and significantly, Mourinho wanted it to happen. But the man at the top, who you know well, Daniel Levy, didn't want it to happen.
I knew there was no way Daniel would let him go.
Why is this? Dele Alli stays.
Why? Daniel knows he's a good player. He's a good player. And, he's a great... For me, he's a fantastic talent. And he's a young player. So why would you want to let him go? I mean... they've got to get the best out of him. They want to keep him. There's a shortage of great young players, and he is one. Pochettino knows him. Why does he want to take him to PSG if he's not a good player?
But has Mourinho not already shown that, however hard he's tried, he can get the best out of him?
Maybe he needs to try harder. The boy's a talent. You don't... John Stones couldn't get in the team at Man City. He's on his way out. He's finished. He's not got no future there. Now he's looking a fantastic player again, like we all knew he was. Same with Dirk. Get him playing. Get into his head. Get him. Hey, come on, son. What's your problem? Let's get this sorted out. We want you playing. You're a fantastic player. I need you out there on the pitch. Get him in. Talk to him. There's got to be some way you can get into his head.
What do you believe the problem to be? I mean, how has his star fallen as much as it's done?
His ability is still there, Jim. He was such a talent. He was. You remember watching him under Pochettino when he's absolutely 2 goals. I mean, headers against Chelsea one night. He was fantastic arriving in the box. He's a great talent. He's got everything. You know, you've got to get the best out of him. You've got a top manager. Jose's a top manager. That's where he earns his money now. He's got to get the best out of him, get him playing.
But Dele Alli's got to earn game time.
Tottenham need him.
But he's got to earn game time, though, Harry.
He's got to earn it, but you've got to sort him out somehow and get him training and what. But people tell me he's a good lad and he's a good. You know, there's not. I don't know what the problem is. There's a clash of personalities or whatever, and obviously it's up to Jose. He doesn't pick him.
Yeah.
But you've got to find a way. I wouldn't, you know. And Daniel knows that. He knows he's a good player, and he's not going to let him go.
I mean, he needs to play, Harry, with the Euros in mind as well.
He doesn't
have
need
any
to
chance
play,
of getting back in.
Get his finger out and start playing at Tottenham. Mourinho, Dele Alli, sort this out. Bang their heads together. Let's get this done. We need to. Mourinho bang his head because he's the governor. Bang Dele Alli. Come on, son. You've got to start performing. You know, work him hard. If he's not working hard enough, get him back, do a bit extra with him after training, afternoons, whatever you need. Get him up, get his attitude right, get him playing because he's a fantastic talent.
We've a lot to get through, and we will get through, of course, in the final hour, Harry. But on Tottenham, before we leave Tottenham, Gareth Bale, you're surprised it's gone the way it's gone since he came back?
Well, I
remember all the Tottenham fans outside the training ground applauding him as he arrived.
Well, he's not had a lot of
ball.
chance, has he, Jim, to be fair?
No.
You know, he didn't play well last night, but who did play well at Brighton? I watched the whole game, and it was a poor performance, and he was no worse than anybody else. He can play again. Do you know, you've got to know Gareth Bale. As great a player as he's been, and he has been up there, for me, like he was in the top 5 players in the world when I had him and when he went to Real Madrid. You've got to get again. He's a low confident. He's not an overconfident person. He's a lad that you've got to get into him again and make sure that you tell him how good he is. Get him out there on the training ground. Work with him. You know, put a dummy against him. Get the worst player you've got in the football club to defend against him and keep giving Gareth the ball to take him on. Keep going past him. Get his confidence back up. Do good sessions with him. Tell him, hey, you're going great. I want to get you in there. Now you're ready. Come on, let's get you playing. Because he can play, Jim. He's a fantastic talent.
Can he get back to the dizzy heights he had when you had him against Inter Milan, taxi for Maicon?
He's only 31. He don't drink, don't smoke. Why has he lost his pace then? Who has? We don't know if he's lost his pace. He's not had a run yet. He's been on for 10 minutes. He's played half hour. He got a start yesterday in a team that played badly. If the team were playing well and they were buzzing and Harry Kane was on fire and he's there with Son, what a forward line that could be. Get him playing.
Yeah,
that's what Jose's top manager. That's his job now, to get the best out of them players.
So the same applies to Bale as applies to Dele Alli?
Absolutely.
Get the best out of them and get them playing.
Get them playing because they're fantastic talents. They're better than what... No disrespect. They're bringing people on in front of Gareth Bale who couldn't lace his boots. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know the player better than anybody. Harry, Liverpool have made the news tonight, not just Josh King, because they have got a couple of defenders in. They're still working on it. One is confirmed, that's right. Ben Davies is confirmed. Ozan Kabak is not. On Ben Davies, this boy yesterday lunchtime, where are we now, Monday night? Yeah, this time yesterday lunchtime, he was thinking he was off to Celtic. And then Liverpool have come in, £2 million down, and he's gone there, 25-year-old. I mean, what a chance for this youngster,
Fantastic.
Ben Davies.
There's some good players in the lower division, Jim. Championship, Division. There's good players around who want the opportunity to come and play with better players at a better level. This kid could be, you know, what convinces me that he's a good player is that Chris Wilder tried to sign him, I think, with Sheffield United a year or so, 18 months. So they tell me. And he don't sign bad players. I know they're struggling. Sheffield United. He's a good judge, Chris Wilder. And if he wanted to spend Sheffield United's good money on him, he had to be a good player. And there are good players in that division. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for the kid.
Well, it is. And, of course, it comes about because of the absence of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez.
But to be fair, the lad Phillips did well yesterday.
Did well.
You know, he's come in.
Yeah.
He didn't put a foot wrong yesterday against West Ham.
Yeah.
So, you know, they want the opportunity. This kid could come in. He could get a chance.
Jurgen could be spoiled for choice all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're hungry, Jim. They want to come and prove a point. Get them in, give them a chance.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, the other fellow is Ozan Kabak, who also is a youngster. Harry, he's played for Galatasaray, Stuttgart and Schalke, so we hear he is on the way. That one, Harry, not confirmed as yet. But we know that Ben Davies is done. That is over the line. And Jurgen Klopp made the point tonight, Harry, unprecedented times in which they're living, Liverpool. And, of course, they don't have Virgil van Dijk. They don't have Joe Gomez. Hence, they've had to go into the Championship market. Vicky, a lot going on tonight. Harry and I are here. Harry's here. We're delighted about that. But don't go away because we're going into the final hour of deadline day.
Yeah, we certainly are. As June was saying, so much happening. Arsenal's Ainsley Maitland-Niles on his way to West Brom. Josh King has got a decision to make, and that clock is ticking. Stay with us. At least it's yellow.
Well, good evening, everybody. I am Jim White, and this is Vicky Gomersall. Welcome along to Deadline Day, folks, with less than 1 hour to go in this window. And as we know from experience, that is plenty of time, Vicky, to get deals over the line.
It certainly is. A warm welcome to our viewers on Sky Sports News YouTube and other digital channels as well. You won't miss a thing right here, I can assure you of that.
Now, just a little later than advertised, the king of the jungle and the king of the transfer window is with us here tonight with his expert analysis. We bow to you, Mr. Redknapp. Harry is with us all the way through 11 o'clock and beyond, and we'll look at all the deals that are going through. He got here at last.
Woohoo! Hey, it looked like the champions of England were getting nobody, but they've got one centre-half in. Will they be able to get two? Yeah, a late developing story, though, regarding an outgoing at Anfield. But who is the Premier League team in for Takumi Minamino? And Big Sam has been working his magic. Will he get a deal for this man over the line in time?
This is how we start the final hour on Deadline Day, and we're going to start at Liverpool, home of the champions. Vinny O'Connor, good evening. Your breaking news. What have you got, Vinny?
Liverpool have completed their second signing of Deadline Day. Ozan Kabak has joined on loan until the end of the season from Schalke. In a statement released on their website just now, Liverpool have said that Kabak completed the formalities of the switch in Germany and will travel to Merseyside later this week. Of course, the deal is still subject to international clearance, but when that is given the all clear, he will wear the number 19 shirt for Liverpool. We can, of course, give you some details on that deal as well. As we say, it is a loan deal for now. Liverpool paying a £1 million fee with a possibility of £500,000 in add-ons. With that is an option to buy in the summer. The option figure is £80 million up front, with a potential for it to rise to £26.5 million. This is a player that Liverpool have been looking at for some time. Jurgen Klopp has had him recommended to him by David Wagner, of course, and Christian Heidel, who Jurgen Klopp worked with at Mainz. Heidel was, of course, the former sporting director at Schalke as well. It's a deal that obviously suits Liverpool as well. It's kind of a try before you buy. Liverpool get the chance now to look at him over the next 5 months and deem whether he's suitable, whether he's at the required standard, and then they can make a decision in the summer as to whether they take him on full-time or not. I say Liverpool's second signing of Deadline Day, of course, because before that they had completed the signing of Ben Davies from Preston North End, signing for £500,000. The potential of add-ons for that as well of £1.1 million. A good deal for Preston North End, considering Ben Davies was out of contract in the summer as well. And it's a great deal for Ben Davies, isn't it? What an opportunity he's been given. It looked like he was on his way to Celtic. Liverpool have nipped in, and this is how Liverpool announced the deal on their Twitter feed earlier today. Of course, on top of that deal, Sepp van der Berg has moved the other way to Preston North End, joining them on loan until the end of the season as well. So that's as part of that deal. Preston North End also get the opportunity, or first refusal, I should say, to take Sepp van der Berg on a season-long loan next campaign. We await now further developments on one potential further outgoing from Liverpool today, and that regards the future of Takumi Minamino and that late attempt by Southampton to take him on loan.
The champions, Liverpool, making the headlines at this stage in the proceedings tonight. Harry is with me as we are going into the final hour of Deadline Day now. And having done next to nothing all window, Harry, now they make two signings, both of them young centre-backs. Ben Davies is in, and Ozan Kabak, as Vinny says, a 20-year-old Turkish central defender from Schalke. He is in on loan until the end of the season. It just shows you, all along they must have been thinking, we've got to do something. We have to do something. And that, of course, frees Jordan Henderson to go back into midfield.
But then again, you know, you are going to take a gamble. You're playing two very young players at the back together, you know, whether it's Phillips and one of these two boys they've just signed. But, yeah, I mean, they were excellent yesterday against Liverpool. But, you know, I've got a feeling the boy from Preston's going to be a good player. I've just got this feeling for him. And they don't make too many mistakes, Liverpool, in the transfer market, do they? When they bring players in, and the Klopp, you know, their recruitment in the last few years has been fantastic.
It's a kind of needs-must situation, though, Harry, isn't it? Because I don't think that they could have gone through this window and beyond without having done business like this.
No, they needed somebody for sure. I mean, another injury, and then suddenly they really are down. As I've got, you know, years ago, I did used to occasionally say down to the bare bones, Jim. But they are definitely going to be down to the bare bones. But they're coping okay at the moment. But 2 reinforcements coming in, it's got to be good for them.
Well, of course, I mean, there's a real tussle going on at the top of the Premier League at the moment. And next up for Liverpool is Manchester City.
Next weekend, what a game.
On Sunday, all of a sudden. Now, with either of these two, do you throw them in at the deep end?
Well, I don't know if he will. I mean, he's going to, you know, he may look at it and think the boy Phillips did great the weekend. He did nothing wrong. Don't deserve to lose his place, in all honesty. Henderson alongside him. Henderson's been fantastic, hasn't he?
That's
gone
right.
from midfield on to what a great
pro,
good player, great pro, great lad, and he's gone in and done the job there. So it's difficult. You know, I wouldn't think he'll throw him in. I'd be surprised if he didn't stick with Henderson and the boy Phillips.
OK, so Harry, 2 in at Liverpool, and as Vicky was telling us earlier on, it could well be Minamino heading down to Southampton on the south coast. We'll check that out right up to the deadline and beyond, because Vicky, what else have you got?
Well, we've got a clock that is ticking down, because let's get to a deal that is going right down to the wire. Everton and Fulham have verbally agreed this deal for Bournemouth striker Josh King, as we were telling you. We've got reporters covering both clubs. Let's go back to Vinny, though, to get the Everton side of it. Then, Vinny, look, what do we know in terms of Everton with Josh King?
Yeah.
It's clear that Everton want to get in another attacking option, and as part of that, we thought that maybe Bernard's potential deal moving away from Everton would free up a bit of space within that squad as well. They would want further backup, of course, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with Cenk Tosun having already been allowed to go on loan to Besiktas as well, and Josh King emerged as that target as well. And what we understand is part of Everton's thinking today is that Josh King is considering his options at the moment, but we understand the offer to move to Goodison is a 6-month contract, and when that deal concludes, Josh King could sign an extension or potentially leave Goodison as a free agent as well. As you say, King is also considering that proposal from Fulham at the moment. It's been one of those situations as well where Everton have been looking at Anthony Gordon's future, and we thought that if they weren't going to be able to get someone in, then that would mean Anthony Gordon staying put. Well, there's still potential for him to move on loan to Preston North End as well. So if Everton are happy to let him go, it maybe suggests that they're quite confident that they might still be able to strike a deal for Josh King tonight.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, isn't it? Thanks ever so much, Vinny, for now. Let's get the Fulham end of the story then. Gail Davis has been following Fulham all day now. So let's go to Gail. I think she's going to pop up right now. Brilliant. Just on time, Gail. Thank you very much. So look, what's the story in terms of Fulham? Is Josh King more likely to go there or Everton, do you feel?
Everton.
Yeah, big decisions for him to make, isn't it, Vicky? Look, it's been suggested to us that the Fulham deal is maybe an easier deal to get done, but he did grow up in Manchester, so he would be close to home for that 6-month deal, possibly longer. What he really wants, though, is regular Premier League football. He wants to be fit and firing heading into the Euros, where he'll hope to represent Norway this summer. So Fulham would give him the option of that. We know they've been looking for a striker. Scott Parker has made no secret of it during this transfer window. They've really struggled to win games, 8 Premier League draws, and he knows that they need to start doing that if they are to secure safety this season. Currently 17th after Brighton's win last night, 7 points from safety. Alexander Mitrovic, the only recognised striker, and he's been struggling for a bit of form and fitness. Aside from Josh King, who they're obviously hopeful for, but time is running out, and Everton would give him a side operating, wouldn't it, in the top half of the table. They are very, very close to signing Josh Maja from Bordeaux. He's a former Sunderland player. He actually was a Fulham youth team player and moved up to Sunderland and then to Bordeaux. He's had 2 years in the French league. First year went really well for him. Second year, he's struggled for a bit of game time, but we understand that's a loan option with an option to buy. That would be around about £9 million to get that deal done. Very close. Medical's been done, just agreeing paperwork for that. So Fulham may well have one striker. They might still get two in before this deadline.
Yeah, that would be good news for them. Thanks ever so much, Gail Davis.
Harry and I were listening to Gail there very closely. Harry, it wasn't that long ago when Manchester United were in trying to buy Bournemouth's Josh King, and I think the price that they were quoted was about 25 million quid. It was a year ago. A year ago, producer Vic is telling me, it was last January, 25 million quoted. Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks. They bring in Igalo. So now Everton and Fulham in a race against time in the final hour. Who do you think he'll plump for?
Well, all he's looking for, Jim, is a 6-month deal, because at the end of the year, he's a free agent. And if he goes and does great at wherever he goes, Fulham or Everton, then he's either in a great position to negotiate a longer contract with that club, or somebody else comes in for him because he's done great at one of those two clubs this year in the Premier. So it's only a short-term deal. That's all it's going to be.
Sure. And as a player, could he do a job at either club?
Both good. Yeah. I mean, so he's not like Fulham. Well, Fulham are going to go down, so it'll only, he'll be back in the Championship. He won't, because he'll be a free agent in the summer anyway. And then he could always go to another Premier club if somebody wants him. But I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue where he'll choose. But I think it is. I think Bournemouth would be quite happy to let him go now. And he is a talent. Make no mistake. He's a good free transfer for somebody.
OK, 47 minutes to go, Harry. More on Josh King in a second. We should have a result on that pretty soon. Vicky, back to you.
Yeah, as we all know, Liverpool are really busy getting players in this window. They need them. But is one about to leave? Well, Becky Williams can tell us more, because there's a rumour going around that a certain Mr. Minamino could be on his way to Southampton. What more can you tell us?
That's exactly right. It's been a pretty busy day for Southampton. They've been linked with so many different players, but we're hearing that negotiations started between Liverpool and Southampton first thing this morning over a possible 6-month loan move for Takumi Minamino. And we understand an agreement in principle has now been reached. He's having his medical tonight. Of course, there is only less than an hour left to go until the deadline. But like I say, it'll be pretty significant if Southampton can get this over the line. Minamino, a Japanese international. He joined Liverpool last year. He's made 19 appearances in that time, scoring 1 goal. And certainly we're keeping an eye out on that. We know that Southampton are very keen to get at least one player in on loan. We're also hearing that they actually bid as well for Neco Williams of Liverpool, but they had that bid for a loan move rejected. So, yeah, all eyes on Southampton as the clock ticks down.
Yeah, all eyes on Southampton. And I want you to bring us up to speed with Brighton as well, because I understand that they're getting an exciting young player as well.
Yeah, so his name is Moises Caicedo. Really exciting, this one, actually. He's only 19 years old. He's an Ecuadorian international. He plays for a pretty small side there called Independiente de Valle. He's been there since he was 13 years old, but he's got an awful lot of talent. He was actually scouted by Manchester United. They decided not to go ahead with the transfer, but nonetheless, he's a defensive midfielder. He's got a lot of potential. I don't think he's going to be someone that makes an immediate impact. He's still very young. It's quite unusual for players to come from Ecuador to the Premier League, so it might take a little while for him to settle in. He hasn't played since the middle of December, but nonetheless, when I spoke to Graham Potter earlier on, he was really excited about this signing. There were some speculation that he might be sent out on loan to their sister club in Belgium, but Graham Potter assured me that no, for the time being, he's certainly staying put at Brighton. So an exciting move for them as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks ever so much, Becky.
Harry and I are liking the yellow bow in Becky's hair. That's just an aside. She looked very nice, didn't she? Sam Allardyce has been busy in this window. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has agreed a deadline day move to the Hawthorns, and that's going to surprise many tonight. How did he do it? Rob Dorsett will tell us more. Good evening, Rob.
Good evening, Jim. Good evening, Harry. Yes, listen, this is a bit of a coup for West Bromwich Albion if they can get Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan over the line. Because at the start of the day, I think you have to be honest and say West Brom were probably 4 favourites to sign him, with Southampton, with Leicester, with Newcastle, all registering an interest in him to take him on loan. But as all of those others have fallen away, it's West Brom who made the running, and they agreed a deal. We told you exclusively about it, middle of the afternoon, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, that they'd struck a deal with Arsenal to bring Ainsley Maitland-Niles Maitland-Niles on loan for the rest of the season. We're now in a situation where we're waiting. It's all gone very quiet. The one bit of news I can give you is that I've got a message back from somebody involved in the deal. I've been pestering for the last couple of hours, and I got a thumbs up. So that has to be good news, potentially, from a West Brom perspective, doesn't it? It would seem as though there's no immediate problems, but of course that time is running out. We've got less than 40 minutes now before the window closes. West Brom have to get it signed and sealed. He completed his medical down in London earlier on today, so it's just getting the paperwork done as far as West Brom are concerned to complete the signing of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and that would go on a good day for West Brom all round. Oke Yokuşlu, the midfielder they brought in from Celta Vigo. Sam Allardyce has spoken very, very highly of him in that defensive midfield role he can play to protect that fluid West Brom's defensive line that's let in just simply too many goals this season. If they can get both over the line, it would be fantastic. It's been a good window for West Bromwich Albion, but if they can get Ainsley Maitland-Niles on loan for the rest of the season, it would cap a pretty fantastic window for them. That's the one that West Bromwich Albion's fans and Sam Allardyce are sweating over right now.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Rob Dorset. That clock is ticking down, 43 minutes to go. And that man there, Josh King from Bournemouth, looks to be on the move, but he's got a choice. Which way is he going to go, Fulham or Everton? Stay with us to find out.
We're all in to kick it out.
Not long to go, less than 40 minutes until we hit the deadline, and plenty of deals being done. Let me tell you, we're getting plenty of information as well, Harry. We'll tell you more about that in a second. Let's head to Scotland. My colleague Charles Patterson can tell us about the deals there. Charles, good evening to you. The old firm, of course, Celtic and Rangers, both done business, right?
Yeah, that's right, Jim. Celtic have signed John Joe Kenny on loan from Everton until the end of the season. He's a replacement for Jeremy Frimpong, of course, who went to Bayer Leverkusen last week in a big money move. They will not, I'm told, be signing any more players tonight. That is it. They were hoping to get another centre-half in after the Ben Davies deal collapsed, but Olivier Ntcham looks like he's heading to Marseille on loan. That deal's not confirmed yet. Rangers have already secured pre-contract agreements for Jack Simpson and for Scott Wright. Both of those players are now expected to sign tonight permanently. Rangers are getting them up the road a few months earlier than we expected to see them, and Jack Simpson flew into Glasgow tonight. Those are exclusive pictures that you see there of the Bournemouth defender arriving in Glasgow. George Edmondson and Brandon Barker set to move out on loan to Derby County and Oxford United respectively. So both teams in Glasgow busy this evening.
And what about Hibs and Aberdeen? They've done some business as well.
Yeah, Aberdeen have been very busy because they lost Sam Cosgrove to Birmingham City yesterday, I should say, and they have brought in not one but two and possibly three replacements. Fraser Hornby's arrived on loan, the Scotland under-21 striker, as has Callum Hendry. He's come in from St Johnstone, and they're trying to get Florian Camberry, the former Hibernian and Rangers striker, as well on loan. So we expect that one to be going through. In terms of Hibernian, one man who's not leaving is Kevin Nisbet, but he's not very happy. The Hibs striker, one of their best players this season, he was the subject of a bid from Birmingham City. I'm told it was around £3 million, the package that was offered to Hibs. Hibs turned it down. He has handed in a transfer request today, and it'll be interesting to see how Jack Ross handles Nisbet now that he doesn't look like he will be leaving Easter Road. Another player who's not going to go, who was the subject of an offer, is Ryan Porteous. They turned down Hibernian, a bid from Millwall, and it looks like two of their best young players will be staying at Hibernian, but Nisbet isn't very happy about that.
Charles, for the moment, thanks for that. Vicky?
Yeah, let's find out about Chelsea then. Of course, Thomas Tuchel only in charge less than a week, isn't he? 2 games in. Will he get the chance to add some players to his squad before the window shuts? Our reporter Gary Cottrell can tell us the latest from Stamford Bridge. What have you got, Gary?
No ins, no outs, plenty of shaking it all about, so the hands, the feet, the legs, the arms, trying to keep on the move to keep away the cold. It's a deadly dull day down here, to be honest. It was always a chance it was going to be like that because Thomas Tuchel, the small amount of time he's had to look at the squad, is pleased with what he's seen. Didn't want any of them to go out either sold or on loan, including Billy Gilmore, the 19-year-old who wants him to stay and work with him. And because of that contentment, no ins either, not a sniff. All day, all afternoon, all evening, all night. Makes you hanker for the good old days, Harry.
Warm up, Gary.
Gary Cottrell. Harry Redknapp sends his very best to you, mate.
I used to take him in for a cup of tea, Jim, when I was at Tottenham. I'd bring him in for a nice cup of tea and a biscuit. When he was out there in the cold.
Yeah, you used to, wherever Gary used to pitch up.
Chelsea, what's his name, Tuchel? He'd do it, he'll take him in. He's a nice man, I think.
OK, you've won us over, Gary. We're sending you around a cup of tea, mate. Well done with that. Harry, now we know why Liverpool have been doing so much business on deadline day. Now we know why they brought in a couple of young defenders, because we're just hearing tonight that Liverpool tell us Joel Matip is out for the rest of the season. He has got an ankle ligament problem. So Joel Matip out for the rest of the season.
I mean,
that explains everything.
Yeah, well, how's your luck? You know, they've got 3 central defenders, all outstanding. You know, obviously Van Dijk, the best centre half around. You know, Gomez, been in great form, hadn't he? Matip. They've got 3 central defenders for 2 positions, and now they've lost all 3 of them.
Yeah.
You know, now they've got to do something, obviously. So Henderson's been fantastic there. Phillips came in and did well, but they do need to. They need a couple of couple of more players in, and they've gone and done it today, which is good.
It's quite incredible, Harry, isn't it? Hence Ozan Kabak, not unconfirmed as yet, but confirmed as Ben Davies, in from Preston, £2 million. Let's go to the northeast, because Arsenal midfielder, the last we heard, Joe Willock, had agreed to join Newcastle United on loan for the remainder of the season. Let's get more on what's happening at Newcastle. This man will tell us. Keith Downey, hi to you. What have you got?
Yeah, hi Jim. I wish there was more. Radio silence at the moment from sources close to Newcastle, sources close to the deal as well. As you allude to there, it did take a while for Joe Willock to decide that he wanted to come to Newcastle today. That deal was struck this morning between the two clubs for a loan transfer until the end of the season. Willock, the 21-year-old, had a think about it for a few hours and finally decided, yes, he'd come to Newcastle because Steve Bruce said that he would get first-team football, something he's missed at Arsenal all season. He's only started one game. But as we stand here, 33 minutes until the transfer deadline, Joe Willock is yet to be announced as a Newcastle player. If they were unable to get him, and that's a big if, but if they were unable to get this one over the line, it would be a hugely frustrating day for Steve Bruce, who told us this morning he wanted to add two. One was Hamza Chowdhury. That hasn't happened. The other, as we soon learned, was Joe Willock. They have lost DeAndre Yedlin, who's signed for Galatasaray on a permanent transfer. There is a space in their Premier League squad to fill. Joe Willock wouldn't even need to fill it because he's under the age range. He's under 21, but they do have that space. So interesting to see as the clock ticks down. This could be a late one. It could be a deal sheet one, Jim. We'll wait and see what happens. But Joe Willock, it's gone a little bit quiet for just now, it must be said. But Newcastle, the last time I heard, were furiously trying to get this one over the line.
Keith, 33 minutes to go. Thanks for that.
Yeah, look, that clock is ticking down. Less than 33 minutes to go. Spurs fans, Arsenal fans, Manchester United fans and Crystal Palace fans, stay with us because we'll tell you what's happening in your clubs next.
We're all in. We're all in to kick it out.
Less than half an hour to go until we hit the 11 o'clock deadline, folks. It's been a pretty quietish window for Manchester United. We know Amad Diallo arrived, of course. He came in 37 million. That was agreed in the last window, of course. And there were a few departures. In fact, let's get more now on Manchester United. Only one man can tell us that. Here's James. James, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Jim. Strangely quiet at Manchester United. We're used to drama, but I think having said that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer very pleased with his January business. He's got games into the likes of Jesse Lingard, a win-win perhaps for club and for player over at West Ham with that loan spell, and got Marcus Rojo off the books. And who knows, Sergio Romero perhaps in the coming weeks, because the Argentinian window is the next couple of weeks. But it might be that Romero stays for the rest of the season and sees out his contract. He's got games into some of his younger players, Facundo Palestri, of course, and Teden Mengi today at Derby, and James Garner off to Nottingham Forest. So I think he's pleased about that. He's trimmed his squad, if you like, for the run-in. But you said it yourself, the most exciting thing perhaps about January has been the arrival of Amad Diallo. Scored 2 goals in a 6-3 win over Liverpool with the under-23s on Saturday, and it really will be exciting to see whether Diallo makes a real impact in this first-team squad. And I think all eyes now also on a summer window where Manchester United might need those last puzzles in the jigsaw to make them real title contenders next season.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm just hearing Maitland-Niles to West Brom. Very close to being done. Very close to being done. Not confirmed as yet, though. Harry, it was interesting there listening to James Cooper. I mean, very quietly in the last window, it was agreed Amad Diallo would move from Atalanta to Manchester United, £37 million. And thereafter, as James articulated there, next to nothing else. But would you have expected much else?
No, not really. I mean, if you look at their squad, they've got some fantastic young players, and they're not really short anywhere, in all honesty, are they? You know, the 2 fullbacks have been outstanding. Shaw's come back, he looks in great form. Right back's done great. Maguire. I don't know, you know, Greenwood, Rashford, Martial.
Yeah.
Cavani's been has done miles better than I expected. I thought, well, maybe he's finished, he's had it, but he looks sharp, he looks fit, looks like he can still score goals. No, I don't think they're short, really. I think the squad looks strong.
And just on that subject, before we head to Paul Gilmer at Tottenham, because it's you and you're with me now, quite a number of West Ham fans getting in touch. What about West Ham? It was thought they might bring in a striker before 11 o'clock tonight. Apparently David Moyes has said, no, fine, we've got enough. Do you think that's right? I mean, last week, Ben Rama...
Yeah, I mean,
turned to permanent,
he's done
25
great,
mil.
David, and he's done a great job, and they've recruited well. I mean, the 2 Czechoslovakian boys have been outstanding, haven't they? The right back and the midfield player. So, you know, if they don't get, it's all about injuries, Jim. And you know, they've let the centre forward go. Halle was a massive disappointment.
Yeah,
so they've had to bite the bullet with him.
Going to Ajax.
But, yeah, no, if they keep the squad fit, and you know, I think they've. I mean, they had a disappointing day yesterday, but I still think they can, you know, finish maybe 7th or 8th this year. They look capable.
You think so?
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, I think maybe around about 8th. But David Moyes has done a great job there, and they've recruited well, which is good.
Good, Harry. For the moment, thanks, Vicky.
Yeah, as Jim was saying, let's get to another of Harry's former clubs, Tottenham, of course. So much speculation that Dele Alli was going to join up with Mauricio Pochettino at PSG, wasn't there? Let's cross live to our reporter, Paul Gilmer, who pretty freezing cold there, no doubt. You've been there all day, Paul, but warm the Spurs fans out. What news can you bring us?
Yeah, good evening, Vicky. I think quite a lot of Tottenham fans may just be happy that Dele Alli has stayed put today, because PSG wanted him on loan, he wanted to go on loan. Tottenham have maintained all along they wanted him to stay and fight for his place. He still has, of course, a lot of admirers at this club, having given them some memorable moments, some memorable goals down the years. They still feel that, some people still feel that he's got a lot to give, but clearly they want a situation like the Tanguy and Ndombele one when he was out of favour under Jose Mourinho as the record signing. Everybody got together and they made that work for the good of the club, and that's what everyone will be hoping happens with Dele Alli. Jose Mourinho, of course, will have his reasons for playing Dele Alli in just 74 minutes of Premier League football. You look back at the timeline, he started so well under Jose Mourinho's reign, and there were issues that came out of the documentary. Of course, Jose Mourinho called him a lazy trainer. Dele Alli suggested some things about tactics, but really all Dele Alli wants, we're told constantly, is to play football. And He hasn't got the move to PSG to be reunited with Maurizio Pochettino, so he is hoping that he will be playing regularly in the second half of the season. Of course, that depends on the manager, and so it is a fascinating situation to see how that plays out and to see if he can turn this around, because 74 minutes of Premier League football, as I say, it was a little bit alien to see at times for some people because of the moments that he's given Tottenham in the past. Elsewhere at Tottenham, and by the way, just on Dele Alli, the reason he didn't go on loan was because Tottenham didn't get a replacement. They were open to bringing Christian Eriksen back to the club. That was too complicated a deal. It didn't get done in the end, and so Dele Alli did stay put. Tottenham couldn't get a suitable replacement. They have lost a player today, though, in Paulo Gazzaniga, a temporary departure on loan to Elche in Spain for the rest of the season. Danny Rose looks to be staying put until the end of his contract, and Japhet Tanganga stays as well. Despite a lot of interest in him on loan today, Tottenham have decided to keep him.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks ever so much, Paul. Warm up, please.
We can tell you, West Brom fans, you're fighting for your lives in the Premier League, but of course, Big Sam is there, and he was determined to add to the ranks. Well, he's done it. Sam has just messaged me, 4 good players in tonight, including Ainsley Maitland-Niles. So I'll get your reaction to that in a second, Harry, but he's done it. Sam has done it. 4 players over the line, very good ones at that, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles is one of them. Confirmation of that on the way, but with 22 minutes to go until we hit the deadline, let's get back to Vicky.
Yeah, because as Jim was saying, the countdown clock is definitely on. That 11 o'clock deadline, fast approaching. Less than 25 minutes of this transfer window remaining for one night only. There's a song about that. The Monday Night Football studio, I won't sing, has been transformed. It's been downgraded slightly because we can rejoin Dharmesh and Kave. Good evening to you, Dharmesh and Kave. Good to see you. Look, we were just hearing about Ainsley Maitland-Niles. The deal's over the line. So, Darms, did Arsenal get everything they wanted, though, this window?
I think they did. When the talk of this window concludes in a few days and people ask who's done the best business during this transfer window, you could argue that Arsenal's transfer window has been amongst the best. Now, Mikel Arteta last month had said, look, I need to get people off the books. I need to send people on loan. I need to reduce the wage bill. I need to work with a smaller squad. And so he just said, I need to do all of that, and then let's see if I can bring in an attacking central midfielder. So what happened? Kolasinac, off he went on loan to Schalke. William Saliba, off on loan to Nice. Socrates, his contract was cancelled mutually. Mesut Ozil, that was the big one. So once they'd done all that, they thought, right, let's see if we can bring in an attacking central midfielder. Lo and behold, what happened? Real Madrid's Martin Odegaard joined on loan until the end of the season. But with his arrival, I think Mikel Arteta was still thinking there are a few players in this squad who aren't going to get much action because of Odegaard's arrival and others. So let's see if I can further reduce the numbers in this squad. So they used the last 3 or 4 days to look at some of his players and think, right, let me have a look if some of these players are best served with their development by moving elsewhere, or whether they're best served staying at Arsenal. Well, Shkodran Mustafi, 6 months left on his contract. That contract was terminated. He has then gone to Schalke to replace Kabak, who went to Liverpool. It's a permanent 6-month deal. The wages are off the books. So off went Shkodran Mustafi. Joe Willock, he's on his way to Newcastle United. We're still waiting for an official confirmation that one has gone through. Jim has just mentioned that Sam Allardyce, no other than Sam Allardyce, has mentioned that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is on his way to West Bromwich Albion. We're still waiting for official confirmation, if we need more official confirmation than that. We thought Reece Nelson and Callum Chambers would be made available as well, but it looks like those 2 players are staying. So if you look at it, Kolasinac, Saliba, Socrates, Ozil, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Willock and Mustafi, all out of the door. Martin Odegaard in. I think when people assess who has got the best business done in this transfer window, not necessarily with incomings, but Arsenal can look at it and think what we plan to do in this transfer window has come to fruition.
Yeah, they did indeed. OK, let's turn our attentions to Kave then. We just spoke about that up here. David Moyes didn't get the striker he was after. West Ham, though, got to be happy with their business, weren't they?
I think there will be. Look, normally we're used to West Ham being very busy on deadline day. For instance, 12 months ago today, they signed Jared Bowen from Hull City. But I think David Moyes has looked at his squad and thought, look, I'm building something special here. I only want to bring in the right kind of player. And that kind of striker is not available at the moment. And what's actually happened is that the West Ham board have said to David Moyes, look, there's 20 to 30 million pounds available. They even told him that this morning. They said the money is there for you to go and sign a striker if you want. And David Moyes has turned around to them and said, you know what? I'm happy with what I've got. Even though I sold Sebastian Haller, I'm happy with what I've got. And I think when you look back at this window, you have to say West Ham, incredibly, even though they sold Haller for, less than half what they signed him for, they did very well in this current climate to get £20 million for him. And I think they've done very, very well to get Jesse Lingard on loan from Manchester United as well. A loan fee of £1.5 million, and they're going to be paying his wages as well. So I think David Moyes has got a great track record in this second spell at West Ham. He's made some fantastic signings: Bowen, Souček, Kufal, Benrahma, Dawson. The quality wasn't there when it came to finding a new striker this month, so he's happy to wait, even though the owners gave him between 20 and 30 million pounds to spend.
Brilliant stuff, Carvey and Darmish. Thank you very much.
OK, we're almost there. Not long now until we hit the deadline. And that is Ainsley Maitland-Niles, one of 4 players tonight in at West Brom. Big Sam did the trick again.
We're all in. We're all in to kick it out.
OK, folks, we're almost there. Less than 14 minutes to go now, Vicky. The clock is ticking. Josh King, a big decision to make. Does he go to Everton? Does he go to Fulham? We'll know very shortly. And in the meantime, is it true, we think it is, that Sam has not got one, not two, not three, he's got 4 players in at West Brom? Let's find out more. Rob Dorset, what have you got?
Jim, my sources confirmed to me at pretty much the same moment that Sam Allardyce was texting you to say this deal is done. We're waiting for official confirmation from West Bromwich Albion, but they have completed the loan signing of Ainsley Maitland-Niles from Arsenal. And what a coup it is. Bear in mind that Southampton, Leicester, Newcastle, at the start of the day and for the last days of this window as well, have been interested in signing him. But it's West Brom who've beaten all of those to a signature of a player who's so widely thought of. I think the fact that my contacts were telling me and Sam Allardyce was telling you tells you just how excited West Bromwich Albion are about this particular signing. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he won't be able to play for them tomorrow in a huge game they've got against bottom of the table Sheffield United. But what boost will those West Bromwich Albion players and Sam Allardyce get from the signing of Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Add to the fact that they signed Oke Yokoslu as well from Celta Vigo today, a very highly thought of defensive midfield player. Add that to the fact that they got Mbaye Diagne, the striker who set up a goal against Fulham the other day in his debut within 20 minutes of coming up. Add to that the fact they got Robert Snodgrass in this window. 4 very, very strong signings for a club who've been very tight when it comes to budget. They did not have an awful lot of money to spend in this window. They had to wheel and deal. They've done that to incredibly good effect. You have to say that Luke Dowling, the sporting director at West Brom, has pulled off a masterstroke today. Apparently, Sam Allardyce is absolutely delighted with the signings that they've made. And even though they're 9 points from safety in the Premier League, threatened with relegation, Sam Allardyce, remember that proud record of never being relegated, he's now got a spring in his step. You suspect those West Bromwich Albion players will have a spring in their step as well. And could this be the boost that they need to keep them in the Premier League? So we wait for official confirmation, but you know, Jim, I know, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a West Bromwich Albion player for the remainder of this season.
Rob, thanks very much.
Yeah, look, that clock is now ticking down. 11 and a half minutes left. What about Bournemouth's Josh King? We may now know his destination. Vinny O'Connor, is it Everton?
He has chosen Everton. There's no two ways about it, Vicky. He's decided on Everton Football Club. He did, of course, have the option of a move to Fulham, who'd also had a verbal agreement with Bournemouth, but it looks like it is Everton that have got ahead of them. We understand the offer to move to Goodison Park is a 6-month contract. When that deal concludes, Josh King could sign an extension or potentially leave as a free agent. Of course, we know Bournemouth would prefer to cash in on their player now rather than allow him to leave in the summer for free. There's a second side to this, though, as well, because Anthony Gordon is set for a loan move to Preston North End. That is all good to go at Preston at the moment. But for that to go through, Everton have to conclude the deal for Josh King as well. So we await confirmation on both of those. We expect Josh King first, followed swiftly by Anthony Gordon.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Vinny.
OK, well, Everton's gain is Fulham's loss. What do they think of that? Here's Gail Davis. Gail.
Oh, she can't hear us, I don't think, is the simple message. Gail, are you there? Here she is.
I am there, Vicky, and very glad to be in my living room and not out with everybody else. Gosh, Gary Cottrell looks cold, doesn't he? Well, Fulham wanted a striker. At one point today, we thought they might get 2. Didn't happen. Sorry, I'm just turning you off behind on the delay there. Yeah, they wanted 1 striker. At one point, they thought they might get 2, but it does look like Joshua King is heading to Everton, doesn't it? But Josh, my dear, we understand they are very, very close to finalising that deal. They hope to beat the deadline. He's had his medical. That's done. Most of the paperwork are done. It just needs those final few bits on it. It's a loan with an option to buy for around about £9 million. Former Fulham youth team player, moved up to Sunderland, has spent the last 2 years with Bordeaux. Really good first season in the French league, struggled for game time in the second league. In the second season, just the 2 goals for him. But we know, don't we, Scott Parker has been desperate to bring in another striker. Alexander Mitrovic, the only recognised one at the club so far, and he's struggled for a bit of form and goals this season. 2 players on their way out. Boubacar Kamara, he's going to sign for Dijon in the French League. Cabano, there's interest from Middlesbrough. And Maxime Le Marchand, there's a couple of clubs interested in him. So there could be 3 outgoings and then the 1 incoming.
Right.
But that's the one Scott Parker really wants. It's the one that may make all the difference. Fulham, remember, 17th in the Premier League, still 7 points off safety.
OK, Gail, thanks.
OK, let's find out what Wolves are doing. Anton Tolui can tell us. What do you got for us, Anton?
Well, 1 win in 11 games since the injury to Raul Jimenez. But Wolves have decided not to make any signings today on deadline day. I'm told they did look at the centre-back market to maybe see if they needed any players, as the club have slipped to 14th to the table, but they've decided not to. Willian Jose, the Raul Jimenez replacement, the only significant signing by Wolves this window, and that's how it's going to be.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Anton Tolui.
OK, well, time is ticking on. Now less than 8 minutes to go. We're going to go down the south coast, Vicky. Let's find out if Southampton have done it. Takumi Minamino, of course, we know him because we've seen him play of late for Liverpool. But has he moved to the south coast? Rebecca Williams will have more on this one. Becky, what have you got for us?
Yeah, there's no confirmation yet, but we're hoping that this might get over the line in the next few minutes or so. It'll certainly be a bit of a coup for Southampton. They only started the negotiations this morning, so a last-minute deal. He, of course, the Liverpool player, Japanese international. He joined Liverpool in 2020, made 19 appearances, 1 goal in that time. And so Southampton, we know they're desperate to get a player in on loan. This would be a 6-month loan move. We understand that they have agreed in principle. He's done his medical tonight. So, yeah, we're just waiting. But as you say, the clock's ticking.
It is, Becky. Thank you.
Goodness me, that's a big one, isn't it? Minamino to Southampton. OK, the clock is down into the 7 minutes time. Let's find out what is happening at the bridge then, because Michael Bridge can tell us. Not at the bridge, well, with Michael Bridge. You know what I'm saying. Crystal Palace, what do you got?
Crystal Palace, no ins today. They've got Mateta, they signed a few weeks ago, the striker. Vicente Guaita signed a new contract today. Great news for them. 11 players need to negotiate, potentially out of contract in June. And the manager, Roy Hodgson, now he spoke about that. New quotes coming out tonight. I don't feel particularly old. I don't wake up every day thinking about my age. Far from it, in fact. I've joked many a time that I've stopped talking about my age a long time ago. There was talk earlier as well about Patrick Van Aanholt linked to Arsenal, but no, he'll be on the coach to Newcastle tomorrow morning, as will Christian Benteke. He was linked with West Brom, but as I say, it could be Crystal Palace 2.0 in the summer. They expect to make many changes in the summer. Will he be the manager as well? But Roy wants to stay, doesn't want to talk about his age. Very happy at Crystal Palace, got some business done in January. They're ready to go.
Brilliant. Thank you, The Bridge. I'm going to have to call you that for the rest of the season. Yeah. Look, less than 6 minutes now. Let's go to Keith Downey, because Arsenal midfielder Joe Willock has agreed to join Newcastle on loan. Keith, can you tell us more on that one?
Yeah, I know we like a drum roll. Let me tell you, Joe Willock, on his Instagram story just 2 minutes ago, has put up a picture of a drum roll just 2 minutes ago, which you would suggest means that deal to Newcastle United, a loan deal until the end of the season, is set to be announced. However, just 1 minute later, he's deleted it. So he's put that drum roll up and he's taken it down within 1 minute. So adding to the drama of this, as you can see here, just to my left-hand side, 5 minutes to go in this transfer window. Newcastle have been working so hard behind the scenes to get this one in today. Steve Bruce wanted 2 in. Hamza Chowdhury was the other one. They failed with that loan bid for Hamza Chowdhury. Joe Willock is the one that they're desperate to get. With the clock ticking down, it took him a while to make his decision this afternoon. He had a long, hard think about it, decided he was going to get first-team football under Steve Bruce. They are trying to finalise the deal. The drum roll has been there from Joe Willock. It's now gone. I would suggest, though, from my information, Newcastle fans worried about this, that everything still is OK, and perhaps he's been told to take it down. We'll wait and see, but certainly confirmation, it looks like it's going to be now after the deadline. We get confirmation on Joe Willock. A loan deal from Arsenal to Newcastle until the end of the season. We await for that final confirmation, but Joe is almost given it himself.
Brilliant stuff. We love a good drum roll. Thank you very much.
Do you know what? Harry's with me. That was amazing from Keith up in the northeast, Harry. Regards Joe Willock at Newcastle. They had a drum roll, but then no presentation. So we still don't know if Willock's over the line yet. And where are we at? We're less than 4 minutes to go. Josh King to Everton. This is intriguing. So this is happening. It appears he had a choice to make between Fulham and Everton. He's gone Everton. Where's he play? Calvert-Lewin comes in from the left or the right. Where's it?
Well, Calvert-Lewin obviously play through the middle. He can play off the left, he can play off the right, and he can play through the middle off of Calvert-Lewin. You know, if you want to stick two up there. But he's got pace, he's direct, he runs at people. He's a very good player. He's a great free transfer. You know, he's a good short-term signing for Everton. He could, you know, if he regains the form he showed for Bournemouth in the last 4 or 5 years that he's been there, he'll be a big asset to Everton.
Yeah, so that was late, but they all are, aren't they, at this time? And Josh King, we expect to be officially announced pretty soon. Vinny O'Connor brought us that news a short time ago, that King has gone for Everton, Everton having gone for him, and the rest is history. So King is in there. Now we know why Liverpool were trying to do business and get two young centre-backs over the line. And they are Ben Davies, of course, of Preston, and Ozan Kabak, who comes in from Schalke in Germany, because we heard the news a short time ago that Joe Matip, Harry, is out for the rest of the season. Now, of course, that's bad enough, but we don't know if we're going to see Van Dijk again, and we don't know when Joe Gomez is back.
You doubt
Hence,
very
Klopp
much.
had to do something.
You doubt very much if Van Dijk will come back. You know, if his injury looks as bad as the first diagnosis. You know, I don't think we'll see him again this season. It must be doubtful. So they've got to get people in, haven't they? You know, and they've had to move and take a couple of gambles on a couple of young lads. But the boy from Preston, I'm looking forward to seeing him. He could be interesting. I'm sure, you know, given the opportunity to step up, playing good players, he's got to be good. And as I say, you know, Henderson's been magnificent back there, and the boy Phillips, who played there yesterday,
did really well.
Nothing wrong.
And you're right to emphasise that. Phillips has done nothing wrong. He's been magnificent since he came in. What about Minamino going down the south coast? Becky Williams should bring us confirmation on that shortly, and he'll join Southampton.
Well, he's not done it at Liverpool, has he?
No.
You know, if Liverpool fancied him, Klopp wouldn't let him go. They wouldn't be letting players go out on loan if they were any use to the squad. They're in Champions League, they're in everything, aren't they? Looking to win the title again. If he felt he was any use to him, he'd have kept him there. But his form hasn't been, you know, he hasn't looked good enough, to be fair, at the moment.
A friend of yours and a friend of mine, Sam Allardyce, did us a turn a short time ago, Harry, because that's now confirmed. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is done. It's over the line. Now, that's not bad business for West Brom.
No, they've done great.
He's one of 5 signings.
Well, Sam won't go down without a fight, will he? They're going to have to drag him out of the Premier League if they're going to get relegated, and he's give it a go. He's you know, what was there to lose? And you know, 1 or 2 teams just above them will be looking at that tonight and thinking, oh, West Brom have had a go. You know, Snodgrass was a good signing.
Yeah.
You know, good pro, good player. You know what you're going to get from him. So, yeah, this is a good... And the kid is a good player, Maitland-Niles.
Well, Harry, quite a lot of late business. We expected that. There always is. And, of course, the January 2021 window was always going to be different because we're living in unprecedented times, and it has been different. Of course, no reporters at training grounds. We're all indoors. We're all bringing you the news, but we've been right across the lot, as always, here on Sky Sports News. Harry got here eventually to witness everything unfold. Josh King had a choice of Fulham or Everton. He's gone Everton. Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies in at Liverpool. Young defenders. Why them? Because Joe Matip is out for the rest of the season. And we don't know about Van Dijk. We don't know about Joe Gomez. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, 1 of 5 in at West Brom. It was busy, busy, busy. But it always is on transfer deadline day. So, you were on the M3 and you missed the turn off for the M4. Now, you don't have a sat-nav.
I do have a sat-nav.
Now, is there any truth in the rumour that you called Peter's story?
Yes.
And you said, Peter, I know you're at home watching Sky Sports News Transfer Deadline night. Help me out here. I'm lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he looked at. He got it on his computer and told me the way to get out of the situation I was in because the road was closed, the M3.
Right.
And, he guided me here.
I'm hearing about we'll get back to the transfers in a second. What intrigues me is why did you phone Peter Story and not Sandra? Surely she would be the first call.
No, she wouldn't. No, she's at home. She wouldn't have a clue how to get to here. Not a chance. But no, I couldn't work the sat-nav.
Oh, nor can I. So I'm telling this against myself. Harry, it is terrific to have had you here tonight because we witnessed a lot of late business. I have to say, I'm gobsmacked at what Sam Allardyce has achieved at West Brom there in terms of new bodies over the line.
Yeah, they've had a go.
1 of 5. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, 1 of 5 over the line.
Good signing, yeah. As I say, the teams around them, they're going to be looking at that. The teams just above them, even, Fulham have done a little bit of business, and Fulham have looked a lot better lately. I've been pleased in how Scotty Parker's been doing with them. But there'll be 1 or 2 teams that may be 5, 6, 7, 8 points clear of West Brom at the moment, knowing that the gap can be closed. And Sam's going to give it a real go to try to close that gap. He's not going to go down without a fight.
And good on him. I love him for that. Let's head back, Harry, to the northeast and Keith Downey. He brought us a story a short time ago of a drum roll and no presentation. This time, do we have a drum roll and a presentation, Keith?
Yeah, Jim, it was a very short time ago. It feels like about 30 seconds ago I last spoke to you. But yeah, Newcastle United have just, as the window closes, literally as we ticked on to 11 o'clock, they have completed the loan signing of Joe Willock from Arsenal. It's a loan deal until the end of the season. They've been hard at work behind the scenes trying to force this one through. They made the approach for Joe Willock this morning, and then it's taken most of the day. He took a couple of hours convincing if he wanted to leave. He thought maybe he might want to stay at Arsenal. Then Steve Bruce said, come to Newcastle, I'll give you first team football. He said, OK, up to the North East to sign that deal. Yeah, so he posted that drum roll, quickly took it back down again. I think a few Newcastle United supporters a little bit worried at that stage. Perhaps he was told to on the advice of the club, and then just 2 minutes later Newcastle have announced that deal. Steve Bruce has spoken about it on the club website, where he says he's a young exciting midfielder who can get up and down the pitch, and he has a goal in him as well. So they were unable to get Hamza Chowdhury over the line, but they have brought in Joe Willock, and you do expect to see him in a Newcastle United shirt soon. On the back of that good win, of course, against Everton at the weekend, he comes into a team looking forward to that match against Crystal Palace tomorrow night. So Joe Willock, the one sole signing for Newcastle on transfer deadline day. They left it late, but they've got their man.
They got it done. 21 years of age, and he's in at Newcastle. Thank you so much, Vicky.
I said that without
you're saying that without music at your lips.
I open my mouth, Jim White speaks. It's brilliant stuff. OK, let's go live to Rob Dorset because West Brom, Rob, have been super busy. So that means you have been as well. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Vicky, listen, we told you just before the deadline passed, didn't we, about 20 minutes or so ago, that West Bromwich Albion, we understood, had completed a deal for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. It's now official. The club have confirmed the signing of the 23-year-old from Arsenal on loan for the remainder of this season. It is a coup for West Bromwich Albion, but think briefly about this from Ainsley Maitland-Niles' point of view. It was only back in November that he was making 2 appearances for England. He won his 4th and his 5th caps for England and was thinking about the summer and June and Euro 2020. Well, since then, he's started just 1 Premier League game for Arsenal. So he's really had a spectacular fall from the first team under Mikel Arteta. He's desperate to play games. West Bromwich Albion were desperate to get quality in to strengthen their attempts to try and stay in the Premier League. So it suits both parties here. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will get the game time he needs to try and prove to Gareth Southgate just what a quality player he is, with the Euros in mind in the summer. West Bromwich Albion get a player of real quality who can help them, they think, try and stay in the Premier League and bridge that 9-point gap to safety at the bottom of the table that they have. But a good day for West Bromwich Albion in all. OK, Jokaslu signed from Celta Vigo on loan, another midfield player as well. Add to that the other 2 or 3 players they've signed in the rest of this window, and I think Sam Allardyce will be very, very happy with the work that's been done on his behalf. They play Sheffield United in a massive game tomorrow night. This, you have to say, is a huge boost for them.
Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you? Thanks ever so much, Rob Dorset. Let's go to another reporter who's been exceedingly busy today as well, because Vinny O'Connor has been taking all things Everton and Liverpool in today. So up in Leeds then, Vinny, Josh King appears to be heading to Everton. What more can you tell us in that one?
He does. He's chosen Everton. He had the option of Fulham, who had a verbal agreement with Bournemouth as well as Everton as well. But he's opted to move to Merseyside. We understand that the deal being offered to him would be a 6-month one, with the potential then to sign an extended contract in the summer or move on a free transfer as well. On top of that, of course, part of this is the Anthony Gordon deal. Now, what we understood to be the situation would be that Anthony Gordon would get the opportunity to leave on loan to Preston North End if the deal was able to be concluded. Now, as it stands, we're hearing that loan deal for Anthony Gordon has gone through. The necessary paperwork is in on time, and we understand that Anthony Gordon will be joining Preston North End until the end of the season on loan. So therefore, it looks like Everton are confident of concluding that deal for Joshua King in the necessary time frame. So, one in for Everton just before, it appears just before the deadline, and Anthony Gordon completing that move. And of course, Everton desperate to bring in another attacking option, having already allowed Cenk Tosun to go on loan to Besiktas until the end of the season as well. They need backup, of course, for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Richarlison can obviously play up front as well. But Joshua King appears to be their man, and as I say, Anthony Gordon getting that chance for more regular first-team football away at Preston North End.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Vinny. He's been very, very busy. Look, it's over, the window's shut, but it ain't over, because this thing, the deal sheet. Explain all, Brian.
You love it, really, Vicky.
I do.
Yeah, it means that an 11 o'clock deadline can go up until 1 o'clock in the morning. And we understand at least 2 deal sheets were submitted between 9 and 11 o'clock to the Premier League. This is the document that needs to be filled in. It's pretty comprehensive. It needs the signature of all sides. It needs the signature of the player involved. If the Premier League received this completed document by 11 p.m, it gives clubs until 1 a.m. to complete the transfer. So you would think, looking at the deals that we've not yet had announced, Minamino, you look at King, you would expect, the expectation there being that they are at least the 2 deals that have been submitted in terms of deal sheets. The Premier League never say. We have to piece it all together, and that's what we're hearing from different sources in the game, that at least 2 of these deal sheets have been done, but it does show that this can creep on for another just under 2 hours yet.
Yeah, so just to confirm, this is kind of better than a gentleman's agreement, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's kind of comprehensive. Look at it there, Vicky. I mean, it says you've got to have the compensation fee, you've got to have the undersigned from both sides, you've got to have the transferee club, you've got to have the player's signature. It all has to be done in the final 2 hours of the transfer window. And the key point of this deal sheet is it does show serious intent. It shows that clubs are very serious about signing those players. They've just left it very late, and they just need an extra 2 hours.
Yeah, thank goodness the fax machine isn't involved. Brian Swanson, thank you for taking us through the deal sheet.
Brian, Vicky, what I can tell you is Harry Redknapp and Jim White see your deal sheet and we just drive a coach and horses right through it. Because when did you sign Benjani?
No, I sold him. When I sold him to Man City.
When you sold him?
Yeah, Man City came in and I loved Benji. He was a good lad, but they came in offered us £9 million for him. Sven bought him, Sven-Goran Eriksson at the time, and it was good money. I think actually the deal went through at about 4 o'clock in the morning, Jim. I think the fax machine must have got jammed or something at the other end. But anyway, it got done. That was the main thing. Benji was on his way.
These things happen. I think Brian will probably recall it as well. Arshavin, do you remember him going into Arsenal?
Yeah.
I think that was the following day because the weather was so bad in London.
Yeah.
And of course he couldn't get here. There was snow here and everything. There was all sorts going on. You made a good comment to me off camera while Brian and Vicky were talking there. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is 23 and he goes to join Sam at West Brom. He's going to get game time.
Play him.
Joe Willock, 21 Willock. He goes up to the northeast, game time
Get him
with
out
Newcastle.
And play, see what they're made of.
Now you're commending Arsenal for this tonight,
Absolutely. Aren't you? Great from Arsenal. Get the kids, get them out, young, get them out playing football. That's where they're going to progress, and not playing under 23 football, whatever, at the training ground. Get into real football, get in amongst it. Go to West Brom, struggling, fighting for their lives to stay up. Every point is vital. Every game is vital. Go, get in amongst it now and and see what they're made of, basically.
Now, having said that, getting back to a discussion you and I had earlier, getting amongst it, Dele Alli, but you'll have to get in amongst it, still a Tottenham player at Tottenham.
Yeah.
Now, your advice to him would be get your head on it and get involved. Absolutely. Because as we know, Pochettino wanted him on loan at PSG. Dele Alli wanted to go. Mourinho wanted to go. And then when Daniel had the casting vote, he says you're staying.
Pochettino's not, you know, he knows what a good player he is. Why is he going to take him? He's managed him for the last 5 years. He's not silly. He's not going to take him to PSG if he thinks he's not a good lad and he's not a good player or whatever. You know, he is a good player. Tottenham, you know, Jose is top manager. Now, you know, go and get the best out of him. Get him back in the fold. You know, there's got to be. He's there. You're paying his wages. Get him playing. You know, he's a player that could be in the England team again in two. You know, come the Euros or whatever. He's a top player, and it's a shame that he's not playing. Really, you know, I love to watch him. He's that good.
But let's get back to Big Sam. And the ultimate question in this, Harry, is 5 signings are in there in this window, the January window, notoriously the difficult window to do business in. He's done 5 signings. Will this help them in their endeavour to stay up? And ultimately, this is a big question, will they stay up?
Well, he's improved the squad, obviously. That will improve. I mean, he's brought some decent players in there, and they will be better and stronger for that. They've got it all on to stay up, but I wouldn't write them off. I wouldn't write Sam off. And as I say, with the acquisitions he's made here, they'll have a real go at it, that's for sure. You know, he'll get them at it, and it's going to be interesting. I'm sure there'll be some twists and turns before the end of the season. Fulham are scrapping for their lives as well.
Well, that's the thing.
Fulham have improved massively.
Yeah.
In the last, you know, I've seen a big improvement in Fulham.
Yeah.
So there'll be a few teams above them. But yes, you know, the weekend, for them 2 teams, disappointing results with Brighton getting a great result against Tottenham. Newcastle getting a fantastic result away to Everton. Brucey, when they looked like they were getting sucked in. Crystal Palace getting a top result home to Wolves and winning. So the teams above them have all had a great weekend, which doesn't help, but it's cut them a little bit further adrift. But they won't give up.
I've got news for you.
Yeah.
Peter Odemwingie says you've been terrific tonight.
Peter Odemwingie. Where is he? I'm still trying to sign him. Where is he? He's supposed to be here. Where he's supposed to pull? He's pulled up out the wrong ground again, has he?
Peter's at home. He sent us a picture of Harry and me there.
And what a good lad he is as well.
Really enjoyed watching you tonight,
Harry. He's a
Harry.
class guy, you know. He's a fantastic golfer. Talking about turning golf pro.
Is he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a real player.
On the tee, Odemwingie. Okay, well, we'll watch for him. Stay with us because we're going to pick over the bones of what happened in the last hour of this window. And the answer to that is a lot happened. Liverpool made headline news. Everton did as well because Josh King has plumped for Everton. And, of course, Sam has pulled off a miracle. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, just the 5 signings at West Brom. Some night, actually.
It certainly is. The January 2021 window officially closed right now, but deals are still going through. This man has just gone to Newcastle. More next.
We're all in.
We are all in to kick it out.